Okay.
Yes, it all starts here. It's opening day for the Verizon IndyCar Series.
From St. Petersburg, Florida, new cars, some new faces, and an old, solid group of veterans and winners.
Get ready, stay with them here.
They call it the Valley of the Sun. They're running laps at 155 miles an hour.
Long Beach, California, a beautiful destination city with a huge sandy beach, great marinas, cruise ships, and once a year, the Verizon IndyCars.
The spectacular, undulating Barber Motorsports Park Indy Grand Prix of Alabama.
The acceleration begins.
The new champion of the Grand Prix of Indianapolis is...
Everyone wants to win. Only one will.
And with those millions watching around the world.
By the way, it's the biggest race of your lives, gentlemen.
Here in the Motor City, in the first of the duel in Detroit.
Business is picking up at turn 7 at Belle Isle.
And the green flag waves at Texas Motor Speedway.
All right, let's go.
Wheel to wheel at 210 miles an hour.
And Honda versus Chevy.
Green flag in the air. Sebastian Bourdais is the leader.
In the core of America's heartland is a tiny track that packs a speedy IndyCar punch like no other.
Green, green, green.
Well, let's go racing in Iowa.
He needs a penalty.
This is Indy Toronto, and the green flag flies.
He's making a move, but he's going to make him go to the west.
Deep into turn 3. And maybe too deep.
Welcome to the Buckeye State. Drivers, start your engines!
There is a giant crowd at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
All right, that's it. Excellent job, young man. Excellent job. You won Mid-Ohio.
The tricky triangle is definitely very tricky.
Look at this pack now! He's not giving him anything. That's how you're supposed to race.
For the Labor Day weekend of 2016, we will welcome and host the Grand Prix of Boston.
It's the Indy Grand Prix of Sonoma. It's the championship decider. It's time to bring the action.
Race fans, there they are.
Over the last few years, there have been many an endurance race here on the iRacing.com service, and many of them claim to be the best. They claim to be the longest, they claim to be the hardest. But very few races, very few racetracks can really be classified in the same category as this one. It is Virginia International Raceway. It is America's Green Hell, and whilst we celebrate the arrival of Europe's version of the Green Hell, today we come back for another piece of history. This is the 5th annual TARGA Virginia. It is here on RaceSpotTV. The cars are working themselves under pace behind the iRacing.com first safety car. That gives us a quick moment to have a look through your starting grid for this afternoon's event. And you can see in the C1 class, we got our field up for you now. We'll cycle it through for you. A number of drivers here today. We are going to get all of them ready to race for you in the next couple of moments. Will Vincent here, along with Jake Sperry, will be with you all afternoon long as we welcome you to a doubleheader here on RaceSpot TV. Sit back and relax because we are one of the greatest racetracks on iRacing. It's one of the ones that is seldom used. It is the full-blown monster supersized version of the IR known as the Grand West layout, and it means that we're going to have 28 corners for these drivers to navigate here today. The lap times, well, they are long. In some cases they are slow. Traffic will be an issue. Finding a way past some of the slower traffic will be a challenge here today. But to finish first, as always, first you have to finish. So then, are you ready? We've got ourselves these cars now on the starting grid. There's a look at our aerial coverage brought to you by And1 Design. They are now just heading themselves through the roller coaster. You can see there a look at the extensive, big, huge racing layout that we have here. We're about to get ourselves the C1 car underway in just 1 moment's time. You can see we've got lots of them. They're all ready to rumble here. Going to take you though to the front of your field. There you can see the Riley Daytona prototypes, the C1 class. That pace car, well, it's about to head itself down on towards pit road. Set the start clock. Get yourself ready for 3 hours of racing. This is Targa, and we are officially underway. Well, there's your C1 car coming through turn number 1. Nice and easy. A little bit too wide racing. Trying to get themselves position on this opening lap of the race with a horseshoe. Turn 2 in towards turn 3. There you can see, though, into short now. This is your C2 division. Oh, yeah. We've got the 4 GTs back out. We'll talk about those over the course of this broadcast in quite some detail. There you can see also at the rear, you've got yourself these guys. It is the C3 class. We're having a look at on board with the driver P2 in class. That is Daniel Buck. So we've got everyone underway. Jake, that's a nice easy start to this. Only 2 hours and 59 minutes to go.
Yes, it's a very, very long race here. Only 3 hours, as has been previously mentioned. It will just be a matter of time. Just cool, get into your rhythm. He who lasts longest is the best. And it just seems to be to me that it's going to be down to who can keep it on the island the most and keep it out of any wall or any barrier.
We're having a look on board with Anderson Motta in the number 84 machine. He's currently P7 in your C1 class. We're going to head him down on board then, down Madison Avenue. This is the back straightaway, and then he's going to flick it to the right hand side. No easy going through configuration here. Now you're into the one time I'd say the word bitch on RaceSpotTV. Turn number 14 before you head yourself down into the spiral. This is 16, 17, 18. Arguably one of the most difficult corners on this racetrack. Here you can see drivers under braking, trying to use the throttle to moderate their race cars before they head themselves now through this little S section. It looks easy on paper. It's not easy in racing conditions, especially when you've got traffic to deal with. And that's going to be the thing here, Jake. We've got ourselves maybe 20 minutes of peace and calm. And then after that, that's when we're going to really see who has got the cadrones to go racing here today. Because in endurance racing, you must be able to navigate through the traffic. Not many tracks are as hard to do that as VIR.
Yes, I do have to agree with you there, Will, because the track is only 2 cars wide at its very widest. So overtaking is going to be a very difficult opportunity. Of course, there are a lot of chicane and really tight and twisty sections. Therefore, it is all about picking the moment when you're going to make the pass and making sure that you've got no one behind you of your own class who is going to harry you through that section.
Of course, they are radicals. They're not Daytona prototypes. That's my first fail of the day, but it's okay. We'll have many of them over the course of the next 3 hours for you. And who says commentary is an easy job? They can see the C3 class. They're going to complete their first lap. We're going to have a look then on board with the drivers currently scored in P1. That is Karol Wachowski. It's interesting to note that the C1 field separated themselves out early as they came to the green flag. The C1 to C2 gap was pretty substantive. C3 to C2, they didn't want to leave a gap. They wanted to be right there behind. There's part of the reason there, Jake. Of course, if they give themselves a 20-second gap, then they're going to be in the clutches like C1 traffic quicker. You can see Karol Wachowski right now is only about 2.5 seconds back from the last guy running in your C2 class.
Yes, there isn't really that much of a differentiation between the C2 class and the C3 class. We saw a couple of C2 drivers qualify with slower times than the C3 cars, so it will be very interesting to see how that pans out through the race. Karol Wachowski, even if I can get the name out properly, he's out in front at the moment. He's got a gap of about half a second right now, but at the moment gaps mean absolutely nothing.
Yep. As we're just getting ourselves then a look at some of these drivers showing the sights and sounds of VIR. Got a couple of battles going on the track. Let's run you through a couple of them, shall we? We've got this one on your screens right now. That is Cedric Finsack running in P number 9 in your C2 division. You've got Lucas Drudzki right behind him, about 7 tenths per second right now. It's the gap between these guys as they head themselves down through bitch in towards the spiral section of racetrack. Once again, let's listen in. Having to be really careful on that noisy pedal through that section, of course. This Ford GT, in some ways, it's a bit of a point and squirt car, but you've really got to hold momentum through here. And it's very interesting to note that they are not much faster. I say much very loosely. They're only 10 seconds a lap faster than your C3 cars. So, Jake, if you've got a slow GT driver, they are gonna really struggle to get through some of this C3 traffic a little bit later on.
Yes, and we've got a really interesting situation right now because PJ Sturgis has just pulled off into the pit lane. I have no idea why he's done that after just 3 laps, I believe, but this will be really interesting to see why he's done that and what he'll have to do to battle back in his way through the slower cars and the slower traffic here, Will.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of damage. We'll try and circle it to you on the left rear of his race car. There you can see a little bit of damage to the rear end of that Radical machine. So that could be the reason why. We'll try and get word from race control, see what happened. It was just away from our screens, but you can see it's a moderately long stop right now for PJ Sturgis, and that is not what you'd want to have at the start of this 3-hour race. Of course, PJ Sturgis, you know him from the NASCAR Peak Anti-Free Series powered by iRacing.com. He's been a regular also in Verizon IndyCar Series competition, as well as once appearing in the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series alongside his brother. In fact, they are the only combination, the only 2 drivers really to have made a bona fide effort long-term in both the top-level series. And we get word as well that he will be attempting to compete in the Blank Pan Endurance Series, which of course starts next year, hopefully here live on RaceSpotTV, streaming live also on iRacing Live. Yeah, that's my pitch. It's December. I need to start asking for money again. But let's have a look then. Down in your C1 division, Sylvain Pomerad is down currently in P3 on track, and well, he's up 1 place when he started. Of course, we know him from running for the Radicals Online team, and well, that number 114 car looking in good shape, about half a second behind Dave Geeling, the Inex Racing car. And of course, we know that Inex Racing can be incredibly fast in anything they put their heads to.
Yes, they can. And Sylvain Pomerade, well, he was the fastest car in the shakedown session just before the start of this race, so he could be giving the drivers further up the field a run for their money here. He is a really quick driver, of course, for Radicals Online, a really strong team, so it will be interesting to see what he can bring to the table against the likes of Gellick and Asuna Mini.
We just call him Kimmy.
Yeah, Kimmy. And Kimmy.
There we are. We're going to call him Kimmy, and if we need to distinguish him from any other Kimmy that randomly appears, it's Kimmy in the number 35 car. We're right on board of him now, and last time by, he did himself a time of 220.499. His fastest lap is a 220.321. Fastest car on the racetrack by a couple of tenths per second. 2.8 second advantage right now over the guys behind him. Good start there for Kimmy in that number 35 car, but a lot of racing to go. Just trying to have a look to see where the drivers are in the C3 division, and there we are. We're going to have to go and take a look, and there we are. They are currently working. Let's have a look from our aerial coverage to see exactly where they are. They are down in, is that the end of the lap? Yeah, they are at the end of the lap right now, and then we turn our attention back to the driver who is out front, which is Kimmy in that number 35 car, as we affectionately now know him. He is currently working himself down the back straightaway because they are the support pit. So that's about half a lap in distance-wise before the C1 car is going to come up to the C3. 10 minutes of this race course complete. I said 20 minutes. I'll be about right when all is said and done.
Yes, and it's really interesting to see what sort of caliber of drivers coming in. I know for one fact that the number 5 car of Govan Keeney, he's a driver that doesn't normally drive these RUF cars. He's more associated with the Star Mazda over the past few months, of course being very quick and getting 3rd in the official series championship, so it'll be very interesting to see what he can bring to the table. Right now he's being attacked by Evan Maillard through this tight and twisty section into South Bend, I believe it is, and right now he is going to be under threat. He's not the quickest of the drivers in this car at the moment as they head towards Oak Tree Corner and down through the back straightaway, but right now he's just got to try and hold on and survive.
Yep. Govan Keeney just ahead of him, 1 tenth per second. Evan looking now potentially to try and move himself up a position. Down to the inside he will come as they come down in towards pitch. And, well, that was a nice, easy pass. Move Evan Mallard up 1 position on track. You now see he is into P number 5 in that C3 division. And of course, Evan Mallard and Govan Keeney both previously running in a number of GT series here on RaceSpotTV. We'll talk about the heritage and the history of this race over the course of this event, and we'll run through the guys who are coming back, the guys looking to maintain Ironman performances, having completed multiple Targa Virginias. It's interesting as well, in the world of having ourselves, you know, endurance racing now being a big thing on iRacing, Jake, and having ourselves guys running in 6-hour, 12-hour, 24-hour events. Some might argue that the Targa, it's a different event from what it used to be. It used to be one of the longest endurance races you would have in a single car mode. Of course, now we have some guys running 3 hours, 4-hour stints when we go to tracks like Daytona, or we go to tracks like Sebring or Spa for 24 or 12-hour races. But this is still unique in its own way, because you have no driver changes. It's all on you, and you might have your teammates, but at the end of the day, you're the one that's got to bring that car home. Then there's no one else to help you out.
Yes, the responsibility is very firmly set on your own shoulders when you're driving these cars. It is very imperative to make sure that your concentration stays up, not just for the first 15 minutes, not just for the first hour, not just for the first 2 hours, but the final hour can arguably be the most important part of the race when drivers' fatigue is starting to creep in.
I once joked about a commentator who worked for British Eurosport who said that was 6 hours of the 24 hours of Le Mans. It was a sprint race. You know what, here, once you get past the final pit stop and you get into the final 10 minutes, that's when we can call things a sprint race. We have, though, got a fantastic battle. This is for P2, P3 in your C1 class. Yep, we're radical enough again. That is Sylvian. We're looking at him. He is still right there behind the driver of Dave Geeling. Now, these two have fallen back about 4.5 seconds from your race leader now. So we'll keep an eye out on what's going on there. We've got ourselves a great battle going on in GT3 as well. There is William Levesque. Of course, he is no stranger to iRacing here. We're having a look at him as he is the rear of a 3-car train. You got yourself Anders Dahl and Daniel Buck just ahead of him. And it looks like Anders Dahl is thinking about going down to the inside. He will do just that. Move Anders Dahl potentially. Yeah, he's going to move up 1 position. Let's move Dave Geeling up into P number 2 in your class there.
Yes, it has. A very comfortable move as I've stayed on with the battle between Gelling and Pomerade at the moment as they head through turn number 2 and over towards NASCAR Bend. Turn number 3 here on this VIR track, and heading now very comfortably towards turn number 4, left hook. Dave Gelling there getting a little bit of a wobble and even running wide through that section. So now Pomerade will be pouncing all over the back of that radical car. Here we go through this really tight and twisty section. It'll be all down to how much slipstream they can carry as they head down this very long straight and in towards South Bend.
Yeah, they're having a look from the rear there of Dave Geeling in that number 32 car. Listen to that engine note though. They are flat in that radical. You can see the flames coming out from the engine just above our cameraman as well. Let's hope we can keep that camera going throughout the entire event. Now they come through famous Oak Tree Corner. We'll talk about that in a moment's time, but Sylvien gets himself a good run out of Oak Tree. Now they come down Madison Avenue in towards 13. Is he going to be close enough? Let's have a look, because here comes Sylvien. He's going to look down to the inside. This should be easy. Down to the inside there of Geeling. Indeed it is. Move the Radicals Online car past the INX Racing car, and that is Sylvien up into P number 2. And that was more than anything else momentum through Oak Tree Corner. And of course this is where we blur the lines between sim racing and real life racing, because you know the Oak Tree itself is no longer a part of the IR, unfortunately, Jake, but we immortalise it forever here on the iRacing.com service.
Yes, we will. I'm looking now at the battle down in your C2 category between Francis Stetzel and Carvalho. 3 line astern as they head towards that Oak Tree Corner. As stated, not there anymore down the back straight. Seems that Dylan Francis in the 99 car has managed to pull away a gap just enough. Carvalho, I don't think he's going to be close enough down into turn 13 and 14, but it seems that right now it's just another waiting game for these drivers.
Yep, there you can see as well, a couple of drivers were in about a second 2 seconds of each other at the rear end of your C2 field. And we talked about this already. There you can see drivers in your C3 field. They still can just about see the drivers at the rear of your C2 field. There's only actually a 6 seconds gap between them. Just to give you an update, by the way, PJ Sturgis is out of the event. He's the only driver out so far. There's the driver who is bringing up the rear. That is Vincent Herbier. Right now, the Canadian number 27 driver heading himself down towards Oak Tree Corner. There you can see the magnificent oak tree. So it's been a couple of years since we lost that in real life. But there, you can see out front is Geeling's not allowing Sylvian to disappear up the road. But having a look between Sylvian and Kimi, and last time by, it was a 2:20.3. Actually, I can't get the lap times. We'll come back to that in a minute. But 5.2 seconds a gap. So Sylvian has really stemmed the bleeding as far as that C1 division goes. You keep an eye on that one over the course of the next couple of laps. Battle for race lead in C2, however, that one is getting interesting. Let's have a look. We're on board with Stefan Muschler right now, the number 20 machine, and he has got himself the Phoenix Motorsports car, and Mike Newson, let's say, half a second ahead of him, Jake?
Yeah, half a second, but he has pulled out about 2/10 since the start of the last lap. He's seeming to be just controlling the race from the front at the moment in this C2 category, doing all that he needs to do right now. He's pulled away from the majority of the field. There's just only 4 cars which stand within 10 seconds of Mike Thunison right now as they head through. The left-handers heading up towards South Bend. He's got it very good. We just passed South Bend actually as we head towards the Oak Tree once again, and it seems very, very comfortable at the moment as they head down the back straight.
Yeah, we're on board then with Stefan Muschler right now. That gap is still about 0.4 of a second. As there you can see, last time by 2:26.7 for Mike, 2:26.7 also for Stefan Muschler. These two aren't giving an inch to each other. You can notice though that Thunison just breaks a little bit later into Oak Tree. He messes up the apex of the corner that time by, however, is able to get it done on corner exit. And this is one thing that we'll see all day long. If a driver messes up one of these big corners, like Bitch, like Oak Tree, like the Horseshoe, they can still really recover because this track is so narrow. You've got to really hope that they go complete. Oh, he has gone off! We're talking about drivers going off, and he goes off right in front of our eyes there. Mike Thunison. Talk about the commentator's curse there. He recovers, but down into P number 2 he goes. And I'm sure after that one, Mike Thunison will not want us to talk about him for the remainder of this race. Let's get ourselves a replay, get ourselves a second look and show you what happened. And it's just, I think he might have just hit a white line on corner exit. We're going to try and get a look from our AO coverage and just slow it down. He catches the curb, yeah, doesn't he, on corner exit? He just catches the curb. He does just tag the barrier as well. The front right of that, is it front right? Front left of that car is got a tiny bit of damage. But Jake, down in P number 2, let's hope that damage isn't too severe.
Well, he's staying out right now, which means that the damage is manageable at this stage. Just the time that he's lost is what he's going to try and bring back into this race. It's not ideal. He hasn't lost too much ground. He's still in, I believe, 2nd place in this class at the moment. Yes, he is. And right now, he just needs to concentrate because Stefan Muschler has come in from 3 places, from 3rd in his class and all the way up into the lead now and has a comfortable lead of about 3 seconds.
Yeah. Never get that ticket running from the top of your screen. Keep up to date with your favourite drivers throughout the course of this event. We've got ourselves one driver on pit road in your C3 division. We're just going to zoom in. There you can see the number 30 machine. A little bit damage there to drivers right of that car. He is out. That is Joel Hafner out of this event by the looks of it. That is a shame. It's a driver in our C3 division. I'm just trying to see whether we can get a look. No, unfortunately we can't. But Joel is now classified as being out the race. He's out the car for the time being. So we'll have to let you know whether he comes back into this event. But Dave Geinick still behind Sylvian Pomerad in your C1 battle. There's your biggest battle in C1. In C2, you've got yourself still that 3-horse battle going on between Dylan Francis, John Steitzel and Nilton Carvalho. And in C3, well, the big battle that we've got going on is Karol Wojciechowski versus Anders Dahl right now. Anders Dahl, of course, is known as one of the greatest drivers ever to step into one of these roofs. But catching is one thing, passing is another. Anders Dahl, though, looks incredibly strong as it stands. And let's see, we're going to ride on board of him as he works himself through Oak Tree Corner in just a matter of moments' time. I think Anders Dahl right now is hungry. gap, well, last time by, he was a full 6 tenths of a second faster than Wojciechowski ahead of him, Jake.
Yes, and he's trying to close this gap hand over fist. He's managed to latch onto the back of Wojciechowski right now. He will be looking maybe down into 13 and 14. He won't be close enough this time. If not, he might have a look into horseshoe turn 1 or look to try and make a mistake through the series of lefts and rights that could culminate towards the end of this lap. Right now he's not close enough, but another battle here in this C3 that's developing is the battle with number 86 Simon Trendle and number 22 Julian Mordig. They were really close, 2 tenths over the start of the line. I just managed to see the battle into turn 1. It was really tight between them. I don't know how they're doing now, but it seems that could be another battle to watch here in this class.
I think we've got ourselves the paint scheme of today there, that Crashtastic Motorsports number 22. Get yourself the glow sticks out, get yourself a little bit of raving. There is a bit of damage to the front end of that car. However, I think in the early going, that will win our battle for the coolest paint scheme we will see all day long. They can see Julian Mordig. We're having a look there from up above. That is the Alpine Stars number 22 Crashtastic Motorsports car, running himself in P number 9. He is right there in the thick of that battle, which has got Simon Trendle and Troy Schuster right around him as well. A question from ISR. We'll get an update on answering your question as soon as we can. There's a look once again at your race lead over in C3. It is Karol Wojciechowski, Hammerdown Racing, leading the way by 4 tenths of a second over Anders Dahl as they head themselves through turn number 1 again. Best battle we've got going on in your C3 class, although we still have Trendle and Mordig as well. We're having a look back on board now with the driver of Mordig, and he's not able to find a way past in towards turn number 1. That's Simon Trendle just covering that inside line. Right then, let's go back and have a look over in the wonderful world of C number 1, because Dave Geeling is pretty much alongside in towards turn number 1, not able to get the job done, but can he work that outside line? He's going to try to. In towards turn number 1 they come, side by side, Radicals on the inside, Iron X on the outside. The winner that time by Radicals, able to hold on by a smidgen, but we said 20 minutes, and guess what, Jake? They're navigating traffic.
Yes, they are, and this will be very interesting for these drivers. They've got to try and pick and choose their moments to try and get through, make sure that the gaps aren't going to be closing, and especially if they're in a battle, the traffic could play a major factor in any overtakes that they possibly make right now.
Right, there you can see that P2, P3 separated by about 0.7 of a second. Don't forget, we've got a couple of people out of this race. They are Joel Hafner so far in the C3 division and PJ Sturgis in C number 1. Having a look then down at the rear end of your C1 field, which only has itself 7 drivers currently. Of course, we started late. We had PJ Sturgis, he's on pit road, he's out of the race for the time being. We've got 7 C1 drivers, and that does change the so I'm just trying to figure out my words there. Does change the dynamic of this race compared to what we sometimes see. We see Anderson Motto actually right behind the driver of Dower Taylor. This for P6 and P7 in C1. But having such a small number of C1 cars does change the dynamic a little bit. You get less scared if you're a C3 driver. You know that you only have to deal with the craziness of the dive bombs, the lunges down these big corners once every couple of laps, compared to, let's say, every lap as Trendle there. That's not Trendle, that's Dower Taylor even. Taylor goes wide on the exit of the Oak Tree corner, and that allows Anderson Motta right past him.
Yes, a little bit too greedy there, trying to take too much of the corner. You can see the traffic getting out of the way as quickly as they possibly can down at the end of the straight. Seems to have helped Anderson Motta there right now. Darrell Taylor will be looking for a swift recovery to get back ahead and into 6th position right now overall, because that was a poor and costly mistake there for 1 place and possibly 2 seconds.
On board with Nilton Carvalho in that number 129 Phoenix Motorsports car, battling it out with Dylan Francis right now. This is the closest battle we've got going on in C2. John Steitzel is still there right behind. So they say these 3 drivers separated by 1.1 seconds overall. We've got ourselves 11 drivers in C2 right now, all still running on the racetrack, which is a good start. We've had a couple of crazy moments, but for the most part they have been able to settle down and get this race underway as we continue to ride on board then with Nilton Carvalho. Let's listen on board of him as he continues to hunt Dylan Francis. We'll step aside and we'll just listen this fantastic GT2 machine. Well, there's a look on board then with your GT2 driver of Nilton Carvalho. We've got Geelink, though, right there in the wars once again. It seems the second we turn our attention away from him, he continues to battle. He's actually moved himself back past Sylvian Pomerad. So move Inex back up into P2. Move Radicals down into P3, Jake.
Yes, it was a great move into turn 1, which caused a fantastic overtake and him to hold on for this lap at the moment. Both of them getting a little bit messy there through that section. Probably just looking to battle, as you can see. Sylvain Pomerad trying to have a little look down the inside. No, he's not going to make it stick right there. But there is lap traffic ahead of them, and that's what they'll have to negotiate. A disadvantage here to Dave Geelink right now, but he'll have to be very, very careful dealing with that C3 class right now.
Yeah, there you can see they move themselves past that crazy looking car we were talking about earlier. And 1, 2, 3 in shot. Let's see, will Sylvian try and repay the favour in towards turn number 1? No, but there's more traffic to come. And as we continue to ride on board with Sylvian, you'll notice they've got, what, 1, 2 cars ahead, then a bit of a breather, then about 6 cars running in line. This is where this race gets interesting. They've lost 3 seconds over the last couple of laps as well to your race leader in cars, and there's a bit of smoke just ahead of them as well. But no harm, no real foul, Jake.
No, just cars running wide, just trying to battle ahead of them. I'm not quite too sure who it is that is ahead of Dave Geelink right now. I believe it is Jack Sedgwick who is ahead as they approach up to the back. And of course, there is absolutely no way of getting by in this sort of section. He goes to the outside of the track and following like as if they were glued together. Sylvain Pomeradi trying to do as much as he can to get onto the back as they head through Oak Tree once again to head down towards this turn 13 and 14 complex right now. The slipstream's there, and I have to say, it'll be all down to who brakes latest.
Yeah, Sylvian, the gap is currently 0.2 of a second. There you can see 245 kilometers an hour. No, not this time. Discretion being the better part of battle right now. Fantastic battle we've got going on in C1. We've still got, don't forget, Anders Dahl and Karl Vorachovsky scrapping it out in C3 for the race lead as well. So we can't spend too much time looking at C1. But this C3 battle, very good as well. I'm going to mention the S word already here, Jake. Strategy.
Yes, strategy is, of course, very key right now. We are just over half an hour into this race, so now these drivers will be thinking about when are they going to make their pit stops. Will they make pit stops into clean air? Will they go and change tyres? Will they put in more fuel or less fuel? It's a very difficult game, this, and it's one that you'll have to play just right if you are going to try and win it here at this 5th annual TARGA.
Yeah, let's go back. Sylvian and Dave Geelink once again. You know, we could get excited about every single pass that they're going to make. But the thing is, we'll probably lose our voice within about half an hour. So this is resting voice here at Targa. We're not going to get too excited unless one of them completely crashes. But next time they cross the start-finish line, there'll be 1/6 of this race done here at Targa. Let's go back and have a look at Nilton Carvalho. Still scrapping out Wood Dylan Francis in GT2. That's the closest battle we've got going on in that GT2 battle right now. Back on board of Nilton. Gap is still about 0.4 of a second. Yeah, we'll talk about the S word in more detail when we come back from commercial in a moment's time. Karol Vorachovsky there and Anders Dahl. Now, Anders has actually fallen back about half a second over the last couple of laps. But sometimes you do that because you just want to get yourself a bit of clean air, get those engine temperatures down, get the muck off your windscreen. I'll tell you one thing already, that car on this dial is absolutely filthy. He almost needs one of those New York window cleaner thingies when he comes on towards pit road there.
Yes, it is a rather dirty car. You can see he's been trying to cut every single inch out of his lap time at any possible moment, and I have to say he's probably doing that a little bit too much for a couple of people's liking. But if you're going to try and stay competitive, you've got to do what you can to use as much of your road tax as you possibly can.
Give you an update then about PJ Sturgios. He got himself what do you call a meatball flag for hitting a curb, so just a little bit too aggressive over one of the curbs. The curbs are generally low here. We've got to be careful over them, especially in these Radicals cars. We call them like the junior prototypes, really, because that's essentially what they are. Single-seater, closed cockpit beasts, shall we say. Open cockpit beasts, even, that's what I mean. But they are fantastic to look at. And, yeah, I have to say, it's a shame PJ's out, because I think he'd be right there in this battle right now, Jake.
Yes, he was running up in around a 3rd or 4th position before he started to come in. It is a shame, really, when we've only got 7 of these Radical cars in this race right now. But right at the front, it is Kimi who is out in front by approximately 9.4 seconds, and he will be trying to increase the gap even further as he'll come across the line pretty soon.
In response to ISR, no, there is only one DNF in C1. Blame it on timing and scoring issues, shall we say. We're going to step aside for one moment. We'll be back with more after this. You're watching the 5th annual TARGA Virginia.
a move. Truex on the outside, contact made. 56 slides in at a 4. Who's going to be into stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this, the 5th annual TARGA Virginia here on RaceSpotTV. If you're looking for tweakers and the gathering of them, well, we got that streaming live right now on RaceSpotTV as well. So what you do is you continue watching this broadcast in its gloriousness. Then you get the gathering of tweakers race, put it on a little box, and you can watch that as well. Watch yourself an iRacing RaceSpotTV double header this evening. And for those of you wondering, where is my Skip Barber 2K World Cup? Well, it's week 13, so they did it yesterday. The Skip Barber 2K World Cup Eliminator that was taking place from the majestic Watkins Glen International. So for Watkins Glen, we go to Virginia. This track is absolutely fantastic. We're riding on board with Martin Entman. He's P5 right now. Mark Hewitt just ahead of him in your C1 division. And for those who wanted to watch live timing, we'd love to get your live timing. However, there are a couple of issues which is, should we call it service-wide at the moment, which are affecting our ability to provide live timing and scoring to you. So we're going to get on that one. If we can get it to you later on in the race, we will do our very best to do so. So those who are wanting like the DNF, for example, not everyone has retired. It is just a timing and scoring bug. Jake, whilst we were away, we did have a couple of changes. Walk us through a couple of them.
Yes, Martin Ensman and Mark Hewitt were having a fantastic battle, as they still are now. Ensman was ahead as we went to the commercial, but Mark Hewitt found a way through and into 4th position. And another big name, though, is in the C2 class, because Nilton Carvalho is out. He is out of the session right now, but I don't see him returning. As we see down the inside, will the move stick? They are going to be side by side into turn 13 and 14. Makes it stick. Oh! Hangs him out to dry on the exit there, but through goes Martin Ensman on Mark Hewitt for 4th position.
Yeah, we're just looking from the rear there, as we just saw that pass happening. But crazy stuff going on in your C1 division. Let's have a look down in C2. C2, we're going to call it the calm division here today, because we haven't really got any battles going on. The closest one that I'm seeing right now is potentially Mikel de Jong. Of course, you see a lot of Mikel here on RaceSpotTV. He runs in 16 Street Racing League, the ISOWC. We've seen him in endurance racing along the way as well. De Jong currently running a P4 in that C2 division. He's currently 1.4 seconds behind Jason Gerard in that number 7 machine, Jake.
Yes, but there's something important that's just come up on my dash, and that is that in the C3 class, Gerald Tayan and Jarrett Lawson, numbers 25 and 26, have both been involved in an incident. I didn't manage to see it. It might be possible to get a replay, but that is really interesting in the landscape of C3.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see what we can do. Have we got a replay? We're gonna cycle back. Let's have a listen. Can we get a replay of this? Yes. Potentially. Maybe. No. We'll let you know. We're going to try and get ourselves a replay of this. In the meanwhile, don't forget, Kimi is still leading the way. Kimi Asinyemi, we're going to call him, in the number 35 car. Get that one 10 times very quickly. Might give you a prize. But yeah, unfortunately, we can't bring you a replay for Lawson and Teen. However, they are both sat on pit road, so they're going to be really upset about that one. We're not even an hour into this event. Meanwhile, let's go back on board with that driver of Mark Hewitt. That's Martin Entman just ahead of him. Are we going to see another pass as they head themselves down towards pitch? Well, they seem to be swapping positions left, right and centre right now. Let's not forget as well, these two have got exactly the same livery, they're exactly the same team, but this is what we like to call Mercedes syndrome. We like it when they race. We don't want them staying nose to tail. These two slipstream racing guys doing a sterling job right now, Jake.
Yes, they are battling very, very hard, but also very, very fairly as well. Just to bring you news in the C2 class, it is Stefan Mujisla who is out ahead by 7 seconds at the moment from Mike Thunison, who had an incident about 15-20 minutes ago when he lost the back end coming out of turn number 15. Right now, Mujslar just having to negotiate with traffic a little bit. He's starting now to jump onto the back of these C3 category cars. It will be a little bit more difficult to pull away from them, but right now it just seems very comfortable here.
Yeah, the gap's up to 6.6 seconds. Of course, we know that Mike Neeson has himself a little bit of damage to that Phoenix Motorsports car. We'll just zoom in, you can see that the front of that car is a little bit crumpled. In that RaceSpotTV Phoenix Motorsports car, two any sponsor winners here on RaceSpotTV. As you see, through Oak Tree Corner, he comes once again, capturing himself. And Jason Gerard currently 7.6 seconds. Let's go back to C3 and check in on what's going on in your battle for the race lead there. Well, it is Anders Dahl. And he's got himself a 1 second deficit to Karol Wojciechowski. What we're going to do is we're going to ride on board with Anders Dahl. I say a lot about engine notes here. There's a reason. They're very, very different. Listen to this beautiful roof engine. We were talking a moment ago about the way that Anders Dahl is really kicking up. A lot of dirt and dust. You can see this windscreen is completely black and white now. Update, by the way, Mark Hewitt is off. There you can see that number 23 car, which is a bit of a shame for him. We're right on board. As you can see, Mark Hewitt is down. Now, 4.2 seconds behind Martin Entman. So, that battle we were talking about in C1 is kind of disappeared for a while, Jake.
Yes, it was a shame with the incident, and I saw him trying to get back up to speed with Martin Entman, and he was running absolutely ragged across that road. He just couldn't seem to get his rhythm back very quickly. He has it back now, but he's just got to focus once again on what is very important right now, and that is the overall result and not just this mini battle at this stage of the race. I tell you something that was very important just a minute ago was the battle for third between Jason Gerard and Michael de Jong in your C2 class. The gap at the moment there, 0.8 of a second, so Jason Gerard starting to pull away right now, and I hope that he can continue to do that.
Yeah, we just saw a replay, of course. It was at Oak Tree Corner where we saw Mr. Hewitt just go off. Going to welcome into the RaceSpotTV Broadcast Blues Series Organizer Extraordinaire, Mr. Jacob D. How are you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's talk about repeat winners before we go any further. Of course, there's only two drivers trying to do that in the field here today, if I remember correctly. One of them is running P2 in your C1 division, a former Ironman, actually, here at TARGA from last year. And then we've got ourselves Anders Dahl. He's currently running in P2 in your C3 division, about half a second behind, actually, Karol Wojciechowski. And he, of course, is looking to win his third Target event. He's won one, of course, in your C2 division and one in your C3.
Yeah, so Dave Gielink in second place in C1. He got the Ironman last year, but finished second as well, so sitting right where he finished last year. And the Ironman is the person with the least amount of incidents, and he had 1 incident. So it's curious to see if anybody this year can do it incidentless, because no one's ever done it before. But then you have Anders in C3, so he's going for his third win, but it'll be tough for him to catch Carl, I think. And actually, William Levesque won, I believe, 2 years ago in C2, or maybe last year. So we have a few people that have won before, and Anders and William are racing each other, so definitely won't both win this year.
Yes, let's talk also about the event itself, because we were worried at one stage what had happened to TARGA, but it is back. It's in its 5th year, so happy anniversary to you. But this event is kind of different now to what it was a couple of years ago, because of course we've got endurance racing now. We've got 24-hour races that are a big part of iRacing, but this race still has its appeal because you're by yourself. You've not got teammates to help you out. You know, you've not got people you can put into the car if you get a bit fatigued or a bit tired. This is you.
Yeah, I think it's unique for that reason now. I think it was one of the first, if not the first, endurance race when the multi-class feature, and hosted and everything came out in iRacing. So that was why it was unique then. But now, all of the races, it seems, are team events or much longer, and this one's still kind of unique in that it's just you, 3 hours, really tough track, interesting car combinations. So I like to think it's a special event for everybody participating, and I think that's true.
Yeah, I agree. And of course, you do see some drivers, they run 3-4 hour stints, but that's at tracks like Daytona or tracks like Spa. And I'm not going to lie to you, I could probably do a lap of Daytona and their endurance track blindfolded if I was to really figure it out. And some of these guys can do it by touch. They've done thousands and thousands of laps here, but this track is always more difficult. It's one of the hardest tracks, and it's not called the Green Hell for no reason. Of course, recently, the Little Green Hell, as I want to call it, has been joined by its European, larger, crazier brother, but we still like the American version, don't we?
Yeah, I think I wager to bet that this track is actually more difficult to run for 3 hours than the Nordschleife for the pure reason that it's super narrow. And then throw mixed car classes on it, and it's super tough.
Yeah, of course, at the ring, you'd probably be overtaking people once every so often. It's like driving down the highway on Christmas Eve night when everyone else has gone home. Sometimes it's that lonely. But here, traffic is a big factor. We're riding on board with Roma Alcala right now in the number 37 car. Traffic is going to be a big thing, of course, here today. I think that's going to be critically important in terms of that C3 battle. But are you surprised about who is leading in each of the classes, or do you think that's to be expected?
PJ Sturgis dropping out was a big surprise, but I think that was a little bit out of his control, although kind of a mechanical failure, I guess you could chalk it up to. But yeah, no, I knew it was going to be close in the C1 and C3 classes. A little bit less participation in the C2 class this year, but we've had a really tough week with all of the server problems in iRacing, and with the Nordschleife being released, that's kind of all of these guys' wet dream. So still happy to see all these guys out here participating this year.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. We'll talk to you a little bit later on. From one Jacob back to a Jake, who thinks my job's easy when I'm doing comments on this sort of thing. Jake, we've got ourselves, of course, Mark Hewitt. He's still on pit road. He's still out. So we've lost now 2 drivers in C1. Apart from that, attrition has been very, very light. We've lost 1 person in C2, and I believe maybe 2 people in C3, if memory serves me right.
One of them's managed to keep himself going at the moment, so that would be Jarrett Lawson, who's managed to fight his way back into the field. He's 3 laps down on the overall leader right now, which puts him 2 laps down on the C1 leader. But right at the moment, Roma Alcala is trying to hassle the back of Lukasz Derechki right now, and he's going to have maybe a go down the back straight when they get there. He's not quite close enough at the moment, but I think after this Oak Hill corner, he might be able to have a run if he can get a very good exit. Let's just see if he does. And I don't think he is quite close enough there, Will.
No, we just saw Darrell Taylor going off. This was down in sector number 1 through Snake. So he's got himself back on track. Of course, he needs to get some of the dirt off of those tyres. And of course, it's the fastest part of the race right now. Through the climbing S's, you are pretty much flat out through this section. Let's go back, though, and have a look in C2. Let's get these Ford GTs revving once again. And, well, yeah, I would love to hear a Mercedes AMG V10 as well. However, we don't have a Mercedes AMG V10, so we're going to make do with what we have. And this is a 4GT, of course, American Muscle. This is P number 9, Lucas Drutzky, scrapping it out right now with Roma Alcala. 5 tenths per second, the gap between these drivers as it stands right now. Ahead, of course, you still have Mikel de Jong, Jason Gerard. Gerard has actually closed that gap now to within a second. So, Mikel de Jong's got himself a little bit of company on the racetrack as they work themselves through the timing S's again.
Oh, yes, they do. And then another change that's been going on down in C3. Govan Keeney has lost position to Troy Schuster. That's going to be interesting, but he's going to have a little go now down the back straight. Might have an opportunity to get it back. He is tucked hard underneath that slipstream, and he moves to the right-hand side, hitting the brick wall, as it were, heading towards turn 13. Can he make it done? Govan Keeney, the Dutchman for Red Devolution, has gone and done it. Brilliant work.
Yeah, and I love that livery on that number 5 car as well, as he heads himself now down in towards the Spiral Complex. Move then Govan Keeney up another position on this racetrack. He's up 1 place. Well, it'll be 2 places from where he started when all is said and done. Last lap time was 2:45.7. So much slower than what he's done previously. His last lap of the race 2:33. So he has lost a couple of positions due to, we believe, an off-track incident. We've got Julian Mordig by the looks of it on pit road. We're going to try and figure out what the issue is with him. Looks as though that most colourful car is unfortunately now on pit road and classified as out of the race, Jake.
Yes, a real shame there for him. He'll be looking to hope that maybe he'll have better luck next year, but right now it just seems to be that calm down stage. Everyone just now thinking now towards the pit stop window as we're starting to hit the first hour mark here of this very long Virginia Targa. We're almost a third of the way in, and now this is where the strategy surely comes into play.
Oh yeah, indeed. We'll see most people on pit road in the next 10 to 15 minutes, so to say. In fact, we might have 1 or 2 thinking about coming on pit road in the next couple of laps. There you see it, left-hand side of your screen. They're telling us to go and have a look at Mikel de Jong and Jason Gerard. They are pretty much nose to tail right now. Take the positions as they are. Don't completely use the times on the left-hand side of your screen. Unfortunately, we do have a timing scoring issue. We've got Kimi Asanyemi on pit road, number 35 machine in first pit stop. So this is going to be our benchmark. Your leader is in first. He built himself up about an 11-second lead before he came on towards pit road. You can see that's a Phoenix GT2 car that's just come out of pit road ahead of him. Tyres, fuel. We expect this to be a shortish pit stop. Yeah, Julian Mordick, we'd love to show it. Unfortunately, again, timing and scoring issues. We can't, unfortunately, today. You are let out scot-free for once. However, still staying on board then with Kimi Asanyemi. He's currently down P4 on the road. Of course, he's the first of your C1 drivers to come in for a scheduled pit stop. He'll be out and away in a couple of moments time, and you can see him there on pit road. And well, let's have a look at that time again. See, up to 51 seconds, up to about a minute. This is what we expect here. Anything longer, we expect potentially could be a bit of damage. We're going to have a look at the front of that car actually, just in case. It all looks okay for the time being. Actually, this is a long stop by some standards. There we can see car does look okay, all 4 corners, although a little bit of a scrape to the right hand side of that car. We'll come back and talk about Kimi in a moment's time. We'll wonder whether potentially there could be an issue to that race car. Martin Ensman currently in P number 3. Your race leader for the time being is Dave Gielink, keeping an eye out on Kimi. And actually I have to say this is a very long stop for Kimi Asanyemi. He's still on pit road, a minute and a half, so maybe something has happened to that number 35 machine. We'll keep you updated. We'll find out what's happened. But Kimi, this is a mega long stop right now. We don't expect them to be on pit road for 2 minutes, and well, that is what Asanyemi's doing. He's still on pit road now. 2 minutes he's been on pit road. We expected these drivers to come in, but maybe there's some damage to that number 35 machine. Like Dave Geeling, maybe just running a curb a little bit too aggressively. But Asanyemi is currently classified as out of this event. 2 minutes now he's been on pit road, and it is counting. He's not coming out anytime soon. And Anderson Motor is out by the looks of it as well. They're dropping like flies all of a sudden in your C1 division. So there's been an incident with Motor. There's been an incident with Kimi Asanyemi. What is going on in your C1 division here, Jake?
I have absolutely no idea, but at the moment it's just trying to get these cars home to the end. Of course, they are the quickest. They have to negotiate with the most amount of traffic. Maybe it is a traffic issue. Maybe they are running into the back of cars due to the massive speed differentiation. But I don't think that these cars are really expecting to have dropped as many as we have. We've lost almost half the field now from these C1 cars, and another name that has seemed to have gone off is Jack Sedgwick in the C3. His race is over, and it looks like Cedric Finsack is also another name that has gone as well, possibly, or he might just be on pit road.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out what happened to Anderson Motor right now. Kimi Asinyemi, it's been almost 3 minutes he's been on pit road now. So unless he's literally left, gone to the hotel, gone and got himself some room service, we can assume that Kimi Asinyemi will not be battling for the win. That means last year's Ironman in C1, Dave Geelink, potentially now has a shot to go for glory and go one better than what he did last year. We're still sticking it with Anderson Motor, trying to figure out exactly what happened to him, why he went off, but wow, crazy. And the thing is, there's no one around Motor at all, really. So this looks as though it's a self-inflicted issue by the looks of it here, Jake.
Yeah, it would be a real shame that the concentration just starts to go right before you could theoretically just have a break of a minute, minute and a half. But right now, it seems that Kimi might just be sat there just trying to repair all his damage to keep himself in the race. Right now, it doesn't really matter if you are 1 lap, 2, 3 laps down, because anything can happen in the last 2 hours of the race. There is any...
Carry on.
Go ahead.
I was saying I agree. Carry on.
You agree? Yeah, anything can happen in the last 2 hours of the race. You don't know if a C3 car will hit a C1 car or a C3 will hit a C2. You don't know if the caution flag might be flown and they all bunch up once again. It is very, very tough to call. And right now, you have to say he's at disadvantage right now, but he will get better off maybe later on through the race if he can get that going again.
Yep, so we're into hour number 2 pretty much now. Unfortunately, it's we would love to bring you some more of these replays. Don't blame us, blame society. I don't know. But as it stands, Dave Geelink right now is leading in C1. Anderson Motta is still on pit road. Let's have a look. Kimi Asinyemi is still on pit road. There you can see. That is now, I'm going to do my maths, that is 5 minutes he's been on pit road, 300 seconds plus. So he's now fallen down almost 2 laps. There's no way that that finish driver can really get back into contention in this event. Mark my words. I'm going to probably regret that one later on. We're going to try and get an update from Race Control when we can. Figure out what happened to Kimi Asinyemi. But drama as we're about to wrap up our first hour here of the TARGA Virginia on RaceSpotTV. We are getting word that it's a slight issue with the curbs for the second time here today. Of course, Dave Geelink, one of the favourites for this race, affected by that. We've also now got ourselves a driver who led the first 55 minutes out of the event as a consequence. We're going to turn our attention back to C3 very quickly. If we get any information at all about what happened to Kimi Asinyemi, we will let you know. But we're going to go back on board then with the filthy car of Anders Dahl, still within 1 second of Karl Wojciechowski, and we're hoping now to say if your Anders Dahl strategy works to your advantage, Jake.
Yes, it really will. Right now he's being hounded by one of the C2 cars, but he's only a second back right now, and once he sees Karel Wojciechowski go into the pits, he might choose to go in, and as I say it, there he goes into the pits. They both go. This is going to be a battle of pit crews now. Who is going to take on the most amount of fuel? Who's going to take on tyres? Who is going to be the one who will get out ahead of the other with 2 hours remaining exactly on the clock? This will be the interesting battle here for the C3 lead.
Yeah, and you notice the entire C3 field are coming in at the same time. They can see it 1, 2, 3, 4, all on pit road together. The 2 that we need to pay attention to are the one on the right-hand side and then 3rd from right. We'll get those, not with X, so we say, put on for you. So there is Karel Wojciechowski. In fact, we'll do it in such a way that you can actually see it. There you're looking at Karel Wojciechowski. There you're looking at Anders Dahl. One of these 2 is going to be a game of chicken. Does one take fuel less than the other? They're going to be side by side coming out of pit road. Anders Dahl has it. Reason why? Pit times were pretty much identical there. The Hammerdown Racing car is out. There you can see, and there you can see Anders Dahl is out as well. Anders Dahl moves himself to what will be the net race lead in your C3 division, as hour 1 is officially in the books right now. So, we talked about the game of chicken there, Jake. And Understyle, he played the game of chicken, and he essentially came out ahead of Wachowski. Now he needs to hope that he can pull out a gap, because I've got a feeling he's probably taking a gallon less of fuel, which means his next stop will have to be a little bit longer. And of course, he's got to hope as well that he's got enough fuel when he can put in his final stop to get to the end of the event. But Understyle, again, sublime on pit road.
Yes, he's just got to hope that his strategy right now will pay off. It's a very big gamble to take on less fuel if he has, and to take on that 1 gallon less will mean that he is going to have to work twice as hard through the final stint of the session. Right now he is currently ahead at the moment, and it's mandatory repairs at the moment for the car number 35, Kimi Asuminyemi. He is still in pit road, but for a couple of minutes left now, he will be out, we believe, in the next lap, 2 laps, and he will try and fight his way back into a competitive position. Doubt it will happen, but he does have 2 hours to do it.
He does. This isn't like Audi at Le Mans, however. You know, it's not going to be a case you can gain a couple of laps back, not at this racetrack. I will say one thing. If Isuminyemi is able to win this race, I will literally eat my hat. But now he's running for pride, running to get himself to the end of an endurance race. We'll recap things in a moment's time. There you can see Dave Geeling and Sylvian Pomerad separated by 9 seconds in your C1 division. See Mike Knudsen, he is currently running himself in the lead of your C2 division. Now, there have been pit stops for your C2 guys. We're going to run through some of those very quickly for you. You can see Knudsen did himself a 30.9 second pit stop. Stefan Muschler, well, he's in second place. He did a 37.3 second stop. Jason Gerard, 35.8 seconds. I believe, by the way, we have got ourselves the Radicals online machine there of Sylvain Pomeradi on pit road. But this is what a normal pit stop should be for the C1 field. Let's get that time up and have a look then for Sylvain, shall we? As he draws his car into his pit box. It's that time to get a breather, just for a couple of minutes. It'll be back out, and then he has to do it all over again. And sometimes that waiting for just a couple of seconds, it really does distract the drivers. They have got to pay attention. They have got to keep their motivation up all the way through the sequence of pit stop. Back out. Cold tyres, of course, for a new round of pit stops. Sorry, a new round of the race even. But Sylvain, he's been on pit road now for 32, 33, 34 seconds. You can see the engine is revving. Martin Ensman is on pit road behind him as well. 37.1 seconds. That Radical Steel Series car is out and away, Jake.
Yes, he is, and a battle further down the field here for the C2 class, because Matt Shinowski has just run a little bit wide and has opened the door up for Roma Alcala. He will be side by side, the sitting duck down the back straight into 13 and 14. Very comfortable there in that C2 car, that Ford GT. Into the right hander they go, very comfortable. Up goes Roma Alcala, up into a net 13th position.
Yeah, there you can see these guys have all made pit stops at 32.5 seconds there for Alcala, 34.3 for Matt Shinowski. Let's have a look down in C3. Pretty much everyone's made their pit stop as well. We're having a look, really. The one guy who we expect to pit, who needs to pit, is this one, Dave Geeling. Having a look on board with him right now as he heads himself through the roller coaster. Turn number 25 into 26, 27, 28 before he comes down to the hog pen. This is turn number 25A. We're on American racetracks, so therefore they can't just number corners in chronological order. They need to add the A's and the B's. Thank God we're not at Sonoma, but Dave Geeling now through 28. This is hog pen corner into 28A. Darts to the right hand side and comes shake onto pit road.
Yes, and Kimi Asuminyemi is back on track now, and he's got a lot of work to do. Does the pole sitter. He is all the way back down in overall 29th position at the moment, right at the very back of the field, and will have a lot of work to do right now to try and pull himself back through this field.
Yeah, he won't get very far though. Note that 4-lap deficit to your race leader. But let's go back and have a look at Dave Geeling then. Pit stop is happening for him. There you can see he's on pit road. He should be out in a moment's time. Our time and scoring is continuing. Give us a world of issues, but there we are. 32 car, Dave Geeling for INX Racing. He will have the race lead unless something dramatic happens in this pit stop. It is a moderately long stop. We're just going to try and see how long he's going to be on here for. There's Sylvian Pomerade still running himself through the roller coaster, and there is Dave Keeling. He is out and away in a total time of, I can't tell you unfortunately, but he is back out onto the racetrack and he still has the race lead by 6.6 seconds. So I estimate that stop to be somewhere about 41 seconds for Dave Keeling. Here is Mikkel. Go on.
Yeah, it seemed surprisingly slow there for Dave Geeling, possibly taking in a lot more fuel than he should, maybe looking for a splash and dash sort of stint towards the end of the race. Sylvain Pomerade, though, he's got to really work because he had Martin Ensman behind him coming in, but right now he doesn't at the moment. He has Anderson Motor behind him, who is a lap down, which means that Ensman has started to make his stop.
Yeah, one of the losers in your G2 field is being Mikkel de Jong. He's currently down in P number 4. He's got himself a 2.2 second deficit right now to Jason Gerard. Gerard was 1 second faster on the gun during his pit stop time. We'll have to keep an eye out on that one. We're going to step aside very quickly. When we come back, we're going to run through the crazy first hour of the TARGA Virginia for 2015. That's for the first time today. We're going to take you RaceSpotTV side by side. We'll be right back.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And you can see something is happening. Something is brewing in C1 right now. It's been a crazy hour. First hour of this, the 5th annual TARGA Virginia. And, well, the situation is, as it stands, it is that Sylvain Pomerade has closed about 5 seconds in the last 6-7 laps. He's running himself in P2, Dave Geelink running in P number 1. And the gap is literally 2 seconds. Geelink is being nice and calm through traffic. Sylvain and the Radicals and Line Car pushing it a lot more. But your big story in C1 is that we have lost ourselves both Kimi Asinyemi, who is now all the way down in P number 8, 28 overall on the racetrack. We also lost PJ Sturgios through mechanical issues right at the start of this event. But the C1 field is pretty well depleted, but we got ourselves a fantastic battle. Mr. Ironman, Dave Geelink, looking to retain not only his Ironman title from last year, but hoping to go one better in terms of the standings and move himself up to the top step of the rostrum. Over in C2, it is Stefan Muschler who leads the way, and well, that was really nice, wasn't it? We can see both the C1 and C2 leader all in the same shot. The gap between Muschler and Mike Knudsen, 2.1 seconds right now. But ourselves, I've always said the C2 division here, it's always the one where you're not going to see the close racing, but you've got to maintain your concentration. That Ford GT is an absolute dog to drive. And these guys are surviving, well, they're doing a fantastic job. Over in C3, Anders Dahl versus Karl Petrovsky. Anders Dahl looking to become a 3-time winner here at Targa. He did a quicker pit stop than Karl Petrovsky. However, the separation is still only 1 second, so Dahl might end up losing that spot on the next pit stop unless he can really put that hammer down. No pun intended for Karl Petrovsky in that hammer down racing car. Wolverton along with Jake Sperry here as we are now deep into hour 2 of this, the 5th annual TARGA Virginia. Got ourselves a nice little scrap going on here between two people who know themselves very, very well. William Levesque is in that number 44 machine, IronX Racing. You got yourself Evan Maillard in IronX Racing. Number 911. Number 911 on O-Roof. I mean, come on, Jake. That's just a little bit too cliche.
Yeah, you do have to say that, though these cars have been battling, and of course Maillard has managed to find a way through past Levesque during the interval. Other cars that have seemed to have trouble during this interval have been the likes of Darrell Taylor in the C1 class. He's gone and blown his engine. His race is over. Troy Schuster, another name in C3. His race is over. But right now, down into turn 13 there, you can see the wider line being taken there by Evan Maillard, who manages to get a better exit off of the corner and now gets himself a little bit more breathing room as they head up towards the roller coaster section that they will soon be entering, and then the Hog's Pen section that they will even sooner afterwards be entering.
Sooner afterwards, I like that phrase. I'm going to start saying sooner afterwards. Here we can see ticker running along the top of your screen once again. Ignore the DNFs, we'll tell you reasons why in a little bit. Ignore the gaps as well. We're doing all we can to try and fix that one for you. But yeah, still some good battles going on. Govan Keeney is out, unfortunately, in that C3 field. He was running himself pretty high. You can see him. That's a beautiful beautiful. I believe that's a Palestinian paint scheme on that car. Absolutely beautiful skin. We'll try and get ourselves one more look at it because it might be the last time we see Govankini here today. But what an amazing paint scheme there, representing, I believe that is the colours of the Palestinian flag. However, if I am wrong, I do apologise. Also, there you can see William the Vec there going to go past Govankini. Kini, unfortunately, is out of the race. He's falling down the order, and that's a shame because this guy was right in the thick of the action earlier on, Jake.
Yes, he was. He was fighting very hard in the midfield to get himself into a position. It seems that concentration has let him down for the Star Mazda man, and it looks like his race is well and truly over. But I tell you what's interesting though, on the lead lap we only have 3 C1 cars, and the gap now is still starting to shrink between Dave Geelink and Sylvain Pomerady for the start of the lead. The gap is down to 1.2 seconds now as they cross the line, and we'll hope to see that these cars go 1-on-1 once again in this race in the middle of this second hour, Will.
We're just getting a replay. We saw it live. We're going to get ourselves another look. William the Vec going drift driving there. We're going to ride on board with him and show you this one. Just catching a white line wrong into NASCAR bend, back end stepping it out. You only get drift points if you can keep it going in the right direction, William. Unfortunately, you didn't. So no points for you, but you are back on track. You're down P number 5, losing a position to Daniel Buchan. In fact, he's had himself another incident. It looks as though he is going to be out of this event. So we're going to stay on board then with William the Vec. What has just happened to Mr. Anime in the number 44 car? And this is what we mean when you go offline. You pick stuff up on your tyres, and then when you enter this very fast climbing S as part of the racetrack, sometimes you just have no grip, no traction at all. Your tyres are filthy, and you've got to be bold through these corners. Yet back end just slid out there for William the Vec, and you're going to see hard impact into the wall for him. Oh my word, no, he doesn't hit anything. But Levesque pretty much ends up in the middle of nowhere. He's out of the race for the time being. And that is what we talk about here. Once you pick up dirt and dust on your tyres offline, you've got to be very careful. We talked about this earlier in the last hour with one of the C1 drivers. You go off, you've got to be so careful. But the climbing S's is a part of the racetrack that you've got to attack. We've got ourselves another off-roading. That's a C3 car just off-roading down in towards turn number 1. That is Victor Tanaka there. I'm not quite sure what he was doing down in towards turn number 1, Jake.
Oh no, I don't really know either. But I'll tell you a car who has had a little bit of an off-road excursion but is keeping it very, very well is Anders Dahl in the C3. He is ahead at the moment and doing what he needs to do in that C3. At the front of the C2 class though, it is Stefan Mujsla who is out in front by a comfortable gap. Well, comfortable as comfortable can be in C2. He is out ahead and he is 4th on track at the moment. Any more incidents of the C1 which we see Sylvain Pomerady lose 8/10 over that last lap. Well, that is a shame there as the gap starts to open up and Dave Geelink opens up the gap. It is Dave Geelink who leads from Sylvain Pomerady, and Mark Hewitt finds himself in 3rd, although he is 40 seconds back down the road.
If you are here and you're a little bit lost and you're looking for the Gathering of Tweakers season finale on RaceSpotTV, don't forget that is also streaming live right now. Join Hugo Louise and Cam Walsh for that one. Don't forget as well, Tuesday night, well, it's when we go toe-to-toe with NASCAR, and yeah, we are better than NASCAR. They did last week have to postpone a race, but we go to Texas Motor Speedway in just 2 days' time. This 16th Street Racing League, presented by Verizon, is back, and our start time for that, as always, is 8 p.m. Eastern Time, as we go racing deep in the heart of Texas. And at the same time, don't forget also the NASCAR Pro Series is live on LSR TV, streaming live on iRacing Live, iRacing Stream Live on iRacing Live, and also on IndyCar.com, because we are just that much better. Understyle, Karl Wachowski, 0.4 of a second right now. This is going to be a race which is won on pit road here, Jake. And I mean this with the greatest respect to these two drivers, because they are fantastic. But that Virgil racing car, that Hammerdown racing car, nothing separating them. It will come down to the guys on the lane.
Yes, and huge news coming in C1. Sylvain Pomerady has been black flagged for inter-class combat. He seems to have hit a C2 car, if I'm correct. We need to see a replay of that, but he is out of this race right now, and we are only down to 4 cars left in C1, 2 on the lead lap. So Dave Geelink, he now just has to relax.
He can. 42 seconds is the advantage. Sylvian, we normally know him to be one of the fastest drivers for Radicals Online, but it seems to be that the frustrations of trying to catch just got himself a little bit too much. 30-second black flag penalty then for Sylvian Pomerade. He's taking some fresh tyres at the same time. I wonder if Race Control is going to be happy with this one. He's going to get himself his tyres, he's going to get some fuel, then he's going to get his 30-second penalty. So expect him on the lane for about a minute, 10 seconds overall. But yeah, another one bites the dust in C1, and it means that Dave Geelan now a 45.2 second advantage over Mark Hewitt. And you know what, Jake, we could lambait the drivers all day long, but this, we talked about at the start, it's a narrow racetrack, it's a hard racetrack. As Sylvian comes out in 53.5 seconds, that includes his 30-second penalty. But the issue is, it is so hard, and you sometimes just think you've got a gap, you haven't, before you know it, boom.
Yes, it is a shame, and Anderson Motor has seemed to have had a bit of a problem because he is out indefinitely now. So we are still back down into 4 C1 cars. He is out of the race and he is dropping down the field. What a shame for him. He was running a lap down though at the time, so not really as big of a loss as what Sylvain Pomerady's incident could have been. Of course, I made a mistake there. My apologies to everyone watching. But this is really interesting right now. We're at this stage where we're just about to approach halfway. We're just thinking now, is it time that we start to put on the burns, or are we going to try and consolidate our position and try and make it to the end?
Traffic. That's going to be the big issue. Traffic. I think you've got to be careful negotiating traffic. If you get yourself the opportunity to do 2-3 clean laps, go for it. But the second you get into traffic, you need to basically make sure that you're careful. We talked, of course, about early on William Levesque getting himself some dirt, some dust on his tyres, which cost him to have his secondary incident. When you go offline here, all the dirt, all the build-up, all the rubber is basically going to be the line that you're running. So actually, once you come out the corner, you can't just attack the next one. You've got to tiptoe around for 2-3 corners. Once you get all of that gunk, essentially, off of your racing bits. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's really difficult when you're running right behind and you're having to use every single part of the track just to make a way through. Sometimes you're not in the ideal position to try and get through these sorts of cars. So you are going to have to try and run maybe even 3 wheels, 2 wheels off the circuit, just trying to find a way through past the slower cars. It's all a waiting game when you're doing that, and it's different to any sort of field when you are driving out in front.
Yeah, there's a look then at Anders Dahl, as he has got himself GT traffic right behind him. You see that's going to breeze itself down to the inside line. We're going back on board then with Anders. You see he's offlining towards turn number 1, but he's going to be able to attack the apex of the corner. It's going to be important for him. He's actually now got himself a 1-second advantage over Karol Wojciechowski. Let's be honest, the majority of this race from here on in, we're going to be talking about these two people, because this is going to be a ding-dong battle throughout the rest of this race. We've got a comment, by the way. You were talking about Sooner. I now have to say Sooner Boomer and give a shout-out to Oklahoma.
Fair play, fair play. Anders Dahl will be looking to try and consolidate that lead, and probably after the traffic that's just gone through, try and trace the line as much as he possibly can. Try and take as much speed, get as much slipstream as he possibly could through this long, twisting lefts and rights here, down heading up towards the south curve now. This is turn number 10 on the track. They're lovely left-hander because it faces directly south once you've gone through it, and now through the 2 right-handers. This is turn 11 and this is turn number 12, the oak tree which is not there anymore. And as you can see, there is C1 traffic now that's going to start to try and make a move through on Karol Wojciechowski, and that will slow him down, possibly not at all, but it will catch Anders Dahl later on in the tight and twisty sections.
Yep. Having looked down a little bit further, you've got yourself Daniel Buck trying to close up to the rear of Evan Maillard last time by 0.6 of a second faster. So Maillard, of course, was battling it earlier with William Levesque. Levesque is out, but he's going to have himself a new dance partner before too long. But we are going to go back on board then with that driver running in P number 2. And apparently giving a shout out to him isn't enough. I'm going to have to do this. Don't forget, this New Year's Eve, the college football playoff is live on ESPN. Clemson versus Oklahoma, on New Year's Eve in the Capital One Orange Bowl. And then you've got yourself the Goodyear Cotton Bowl, which has got Alabama going head to head with Michigan State. He'd like that, Mr. Jacob D. Yeah, New Year's Eve will be so awesome, apparently. But in the meanwhile, we're getting ourselves down to halfway here. There's a look to the driver running in P number 4 in your C2 class. That is Mikel de Jong. He's got himself a 7.3 deficit to this guy, which is now my favourite paint scheme of a driver running. Our rewards just get longer and longer here. That is the Excelsior racing car, and I do every time I see it, based upon the rear spoiler. Just want to go Excelsior! But they are running in P3 in a podium position, and right now they are 26 seconds behind Mike Van Newson, 7.3 seconds ahead of Mikel de Jong. So this is one that we're going to have to keep an eye out on. Oh, look at that. The gap between Anders Dahl, Kalvatrowski back down to half a second. What a surprise, Jake.
Yes, it was the C1 traffic, I would have believed, which would have caused that, because he was a second ahead, and the gap inexplicably down to half a second now. This battle is going to be really interesting, and there's more traffic that's going to be up behind them as they now start to head through these series of quick lefts and rights. It will be a C2 car that will be trying to get through. I can't work out who it is. I believe it is Mikel de Jong. Yes, it is. And he will be looking to try and find a way through at the moment, but Vorachovsky will be very, very much focused there through South Bend to try and get through. And there you can see he backed out of it, and will have to do it down a long straight there. Not very, very good, but you can see why he's not letting him through just yet. He is focused very much on the task at hand.
Yeah, Mikel de Jong playing a safe game here. He knows that really he's running in no man's land. Yes, he can catch up to Jason Gerard, but he's got an hour and a half to do that. He doesn't need to slam it down to the inside. He really would have wanted to have got past that number 24 car down into bitch. However, sometimes life is a bitch, and he has to wait for another couple of... Am I allowed to say bitch in my commentary if there is a corner called bitch? Can we make the agreement here?
Yeah, I'll make the agreement with you. I'm not going to say it, but you can if you want to, so...
Potty mouth Will Vincent back here on RaceSpotTV, as there is a number 4 car still behind. And oh look, we've got ourselves a Radicals Online car with Sylvian Pomerade, who's trying to get himself somehow back into this event. So actually what happened, we just missed it, but Mikel de Jong let the driver of Sylvian Pomerade past. Now he's lost 3 seconds to Jason Gerard in that lap as a consequence there, Jake.
Yes, he did. He went straight over the chicane there just to try and get out of the way, keep himself ahead, keep himself but out of the way of that C1 car of Sylvain Pomerade. He's done very well to do it, and now these C1 cars now will probably have to look in their mirrors, because that is very, very tight, and Pomerade will have to go very careful. He's been warned once with 30-second penalties. He'll try and make sure he gets both of them at the same time. I doubt he can with the speed, but right now he's just got to focus and get back onto the back and Mark Hewitt in second.
There we are. Aerial coverage presided by And One Design here today. Give a shout out to our commercial partners here. And One Design, the official graphics partner of RaceSpotTV. Get that banner away there, you can see. Sylvian is through. That was nice and easy there. It was like a big...
Oh, contact!
Oh,
there's
no!
Contact, but...
That is Karol Wachowski there. He's just been turned, and that was one of the 4 GTs. Was that... Oh, no, was that Mikel de Jong there? Was it all getting too much? Let's have a look then at the replay. This was down on the exit of turn number 2. And, well, let's try and figure this one out, because there was... Yeah, it was Mikel de Jong, I think. And, oh, my word, de Jong. I think he just thought there was a gap. There we are. He moves down to the right-hand side. Oh, I'm going to have to call it there. De Jong was late into that corner. De Jong was very late onto the inside line. And yes, the Hammer Down racing car was moving across, but that corner was not, that wasn't Mikel de Jong's corner to have by my first look, Jake.
Yes, and I believe you are correct there, because Mikel de Jong has just been black flagged and will have a 30-second penalty added to him in his next pit stop, which he will have to take very shortly. A real shame. He was running in 4th in his class at the moment, and he'll probably drop behind Stetzel behind him, and maybe even Romeo Carlo as well.
Right, here's the situation. We'll run through in a moment. This is on board with Mikel de Jong. This is going to be him looking down to the inside. Now, here. See, de Jong, he was trying to lunge into the corner. And by that point, there was no way de Jong was actually going to make the apex of that corner, because of the fact that Wachowski was already turning into the corner as well. Now, one could argue, yes, that C3 car should have given a bit more room, but no, you don't. It is down very clearly in the rule book It is the responsibility of the faster car to make a clean and successful pass. You cannot just force your car down to the inside. We ain't in Dive Bomb City here. And normally I do have to say this on the record that Mikel de Jong, seen him so many times. Normally he is fantastic as a driver. This is uncharacteristic for him, but he is going to have to bring his car on pit road in the next 3 laps time to serve himself this penalty. Is he coming in this time? Yes, he is. And, well, that's a good thing there because the C3 race leader was just ahead. But Anders Dahl, 11 seconds is the gap now between himself and Evan Maillard. Evan Maillard is 1.5 seconds ahead of Karl Vetrovsky. I want to have a look at that car. I need to see, is there much damage to that race car? Because if anything, it will probably be, I'm just trying to work it out in my head again, on the left-hand side. So we won't be able to get a full look here. But we'll have a look in a moment's time. We are past halfway distance, by the way, for those of you who observed. There's a little bit of damage to the spoiler, a little bit of damage to the side of that race car, a little bit of damage to the front. But, Jake, it could be worse. I always say that side impacts are the worst for these roofs, but we need to have a look at the lap times and see whether he can hold... He's losing time. He's lost half a second to Evan Maillard in the last half a lap.
Yes, and he will be falling into the clutches of Daniel Buck behind him. He is only a couple of seconds back, and he will be chomping at the bit, trying to get up into a podium position for his class here in the C3. But out in C2, it is Stefan Mujla who is out ahead. Mujla, who is out there ahead at the moment, and of course at the front by a colossal 53 seconds, it is Dave Gillick in C1.
Well, we'll get ourselves a word with Jacob D in a moment's time, but there is potentially still a battle to happen. Anders Dahl, Evan Maillard, last time by Maillard was actually 2 tenths of a second faster than Anders Dahl. We still have ourselves an hour, 28 minutes to go. We still have plenty of action to go here at Targa. But developing big story then is that Karl Vetrovsky, he is falling back. We're going to get confirmation of his lap time the next time he comes past the stripe, so we know how bad it is. His last lap with the contact was 2:45.3. Of course, that was at the start of the lap. He's working himself now down through into the spiral. We're going to go on board with him, and we're going to see how bad the situation is. He's being very timid over those curbs, Jake.
Yes, I do agree with you there. He will be coming up now towards the Hog's Pen, which will be coming up very, very shortly. There through the left-right hander of the roller coaster. And now in sooner. He'll be very much sooner afterwards heading towards the Hog's Pen, and he'll be on the right-hander now. And will he be any slower? It's going to be very difficult to judge. Right now, he's got one more corner to go now in this lap. The right-hander. Let's see if he comes across the line, see his time. Well, the answer is he was doing a 2:32.4 before the crash, and after the crash, his lap time is a 2:32.6. So he's only lost 2 tenths on that last lap, but overall on his lap 33 delta, he is down by 7 tenths of a second.
Wow, he's got a lot of work to do. Now, he is 13 seconds behind your class leader. We can hope from it, and there's a really good look actually at the damage lap number 24 car. I'm interested to see what will happen, whether he's going to try and get maybe 10-15 seconds worth of repairs, and then, to excuse the pun again, hammer down on his final stint. But strategy here, it's so static in these C3 cars, the way they have to come on towards pit road, get their fuel. You've not got much wiggle room. So for Vetrovsky, he's going to have to really hope, A, he can stay in the hunt, B, he can catch Evan Maillard, and C, when he does get up behind Evan, he can find a way past. But I will tell you one thing, that 911 car is not an easy guy to pass. One of the best pure racers in the wonderful world of GT. There you can see Evan Maillard exiting there, the oak tree corner, heading themselves down this very long back straightaway on the style, continuing to lead. And let's not rule out Daniel Buck as well, because that number 13 car, well, I'm gonna make another joke here. He's got a car check sticker on his car, and Mr. Jacob D, I don't think it will pass its car checks the next time he tries to put that car up for sale.
No, it's been a pretty messy race so far. I don't think I've ever had to hand out so many black flags in the first couple of hours, but you know, the rules are pretty clear about getting around each other.
By the way, go on, Keendy. I presume you're talking about me. If there's something I'm doing wrong, I do apologise. Honest, I don't understand what I think that is Dutch. I'm really sorry. But penalties have been a big factor here today. But at the same time, we potentially still have a race going because Evan Marliott is closing up to Anderstown. Here's the thing: when that number 911 car sees an opportunity, he will just basically find that magical, what I like to call the magical 7th gear. And he'll just put his head down, focus. He just needs to hope that traffic doesn't become too big a factor for him in the next 20 minutes before his pit stop.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything to worry about things still happening. If the first hour and a half, first half of the race is anything to tell by, there's still plenty of things that can happen to anybody. I wouldn't count on anybody yet.
John Stetzel, Mikel de Jong, 0.4 of a second right now. Jake, this is one battle that we are going to have. De Jong, of course, has made his penalty stop. He's come out in P number 5 in class. He's got P4 in class ahead of him. This is one thing I always say. When you make a mistake, put the mistake to one side and just think about what's happening now. Because if you think about that mistake for the next hour, 24 minutes, I guarantee you will go off. You will make another mistake itself. So now De Jong just has to really focus on what he has in hand.
Yes, he does. He had a fantastic gap over John Stetzel before he got to this stage, and right now he's really going to have to focus here through the final corner. They go, the Hog's Pen of the final corner, 28A, as they head down the home pit straight for the 38th time. Start of lap 39 for these drivers, and they are trying everything here. Michel de Jong puts his nose out. He won't make the overtake, but another car that is out in this race is Victor Tanaka in the C3 class. He has gone and he will not feature any further.
That's a shame. We are getting attrition right now. We are down. We're just going to get confirmation. There are about 22 drivers at this 36 car field, so attrition has been a big factor here. We've got ourselves Victor Tanaka, Anderson Motor, William Levesque, Govan Keeney, Daryl Taylor, Troy Schuster, Dylan Francis, Cedric Finsack, Julian Mordig, Jack Sedgwick, Joel Tiem, Newton Carvalho, Joel Hafner and PJ Sturgis, all out of the race. Unfortunately for us though, Jake, with the exception of Kimi Asanyemi, who's of course many laps down right now, we still got all the difficult names to pronounce. It seems to be that those who've got the difficult names are staying in the race here today.
Yeah, it's a shame for us really, because we're going to have a more and more difficult time. The more and more concentration we have to do, we have to do probably as much concentration as the other drivers. And now Michel de Jong is all over the back of John Stetzel here, going down the back straight. He moves to the right hand side. He might have a little lunge. It might be a bit brave, a bit risky. I don't think he's going to do it. No, he brakes the earliest, but he runs wide. Stetzel runs wide, and through will go Michel de Jong. The number 4 goes 4th in class, 7th overall, and that is a very, very good move, and he played a fantastic game with Chicken.
Yep. Sometimes if you brake earlier, you actually end up getting the apex of the corner right. We're going to ride this one on board then with John Stetzel. You can see that coming up on the right now, you'll just see, hi, my name's Mikel de Jong, how you doing? I'm going to look down to that inside line. Coming down into the corner, de Jong going to brake earlier, but then Stetzel goes wide. He just locks his brakes up, and it's so easy to do. Low gear and a big braking zone, and Stetzel there losing a position as a consequence, but still a long way to go in this motor race. Plenty to battle for. Daniel Buck has caught up to Rio Karavatrovsky. We've got battle now for the last step on the podium. Vatrovsky's lap times, by the way, still 2:32 points. Here's the thing. Karavatrovsky's not actually lost any time. But Daniel Buck's the fastest guy on the racetrack right now. His last lap was only, get this, 9 1,000ths of a second slower than the fastest lap on this dial in the class lead has done this race. So Daniel Buck is on the charge, but he's got to find a way past the wounded Vatrovsky whilst in a wounded race car. And whilst this happens, Evan Marliott is continuing to just nibble away at that C3 race lead.
Yes, he is. Fantastic racing there in C3, but news in C1 is that Mark Hewitt has dropped second place to Sylvain Pomerady. He's made a mistake. He's gone wide. He has lost the sum total of about 20 seconds with that incident. I don't know what's happened or if we can get a replay of it, but that is a shame for Mark Hewitt. He was running so well and so consistently, but now he's just got to focus and get back in the groove. He is about 4 seconds back from Sylvain Pomerady.
Yeah, he's just had himself a pit stop, 53.2 seconds. 106 behind Sylvian right now. Daniel Buck side by side with Wachowski. Oh, look at this. This is fantastic. Down into the, this is the spiral they're coming down into now. Wachowski's able to hold on, but that hammer down racing car is really chomping at the bit now. And in fact, no, Daniel Buck has got himself past. I do apologise. Daniel Buck, that could easily be the pass of the race. Let's get ourselves a second look at that one. As we come into the corner now, you can see actually the two make contact there. The hammer down racing car breaks a later, has the inside line. They stay side by side all the way down in towards the spiral. And I will say one thing, that was close wheel-to-wheel battling, but out of it, Daniel Buck is now into a podium position. And, well, it seems to be that Wachowski just doesn't have the straight line speed advantage. I want to go back and have another look at it on board with that driver of Daniel Buck, and we're going to go run it through the back straightaway, because these passes, they always start down the back straightaway. You need the momentum, and well, Jake, it was a classic textbook pass, but Kyle Wachowski wasn't going to let that position go easily. The two made brief contact. They are going to be okay to fight another day.
Yes, they are. That was a fantastic piece of work there from Daniel Buck to find himself up into third place on the road. Next on track will be the 911 car of Evan Maillard. He will try and bridge that gap towards him, but something else that's going to pop out is Simon Trendle, who is 5th in that class at the moment. He's just been warned for contact. I don't know who it was with, but that will certainly be something to look out for later on in the race.
Yeah, as you can see there, just getting ourselves a couple more looks at this Daniel Buck pass. You can see, left-hand picture, thank you very much. I'll have the corner. I'll move myself up into the podium. So C3, it is crazy, and Kyle Wachowski has been warned because of that contact down into turn number 12. So that's not a penalty, but it is a warning there. And just to give you an update, Daniel Buck 1.2 seconds ahead of Wachowski already. Now the question will be, can Daniel Buck close back up to the rear of Evan Maillard? That gap, because of that side-by-side racing, is now up to 4 seconds. And I'll tell you one thing, we've got a bit of battered and bruised race cars here, but there you can see Evan Maillard probably actually got the cleanest car of those 3 cars. And he is continuing to just try and trade lap times with Anders Dahl. Last time by it, Anders Dahl, 232.2. Evan Maillard, 232.6. 233.0 for Daniel Buck, of course, he was passing a car. 234.3 for Wachowski as he lost the position. Mike Van Newson is on pit road. Now, is this scheduled or is there issue to another car? We'll find out. 18.2 seconds out and away then. Mike Van Newson, just having a look at that car. Doesn't look to be damaged, so to say. But that was a short pit stop, all things considered. Maybe he's just trying to do a little bit of change to his strategy, Jake.
Yes, it's not necessarily just a 2-stop race. He might just be looking there at that short stop and going, okay, I'm going to go for a 3-stop strategy and try and catch up Mouchila at the very end of the race. And as you can see, he runs very wide there on the exit, catching up a lot of dirt outside on that NASCAR bend. Just needs to focus now because he was calm. He was considering that what was happening. He's still in 2nd place, I believe, right now. No, he's in 3rd, and he's chasing down Jason Gerard there right in front. So he just needs to focus and concentrate so he can get back into the rhythm and for another hour and a quarter.
Yeah, this could well be a Michael Schumacher 1998 Hungaroring going to be qualifying lap after lap after lap. And you can see Van Newson is ragged right now as he heads himself down into Oak Tree Corner. This is the calm before the storm, ladies and gentlemen. We have no battles going on in C1. We've got Dave Dealing, who is currently 1 minute and 22 seconds ahead of Sylvian Pomerad. And 1 minute 4 even, is the gap between Pomerad and Mark Hewitt. There is your C1 update, brought to you by, I don't know, Geico? As you see that in your C2 division, best battle we've got going on right now is chasing driver Mike Van Newson. We're going to ride on board then with that driver of Mike Van Newson. We step aside, take your RaceSpotTV side by side. We'll be back with more after this.
Tugs in the outside, contact made. 56 slides in at a 4. Who's going to be in a stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
You never miss a moment with RaceSpotTV side by side, and you just saw there Mike Van Newton has been able to get himself now up into P number 2, so there's clear traffic ahead of him in terms of where he's fighting. But let's see, is there anyone, there's not really anyone ahead of him either for the time being, so that's good for him. No one really on the racetrack to hurt his progress. Last time by, he's done a 2.1 compared to Stefan Mushlar's 2.26, of course. That was 226.4 actually, I take that back. So even though he was passing a driver, he was still 2 tenths of a second, 2/100ths of a second even faster than Stefan Mushlar. So, getting ourselves ready for the second round of pit stops here. That is going to happen very soon. Before we go there, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, it's a crazy week on iRacing Live this coming week. You have got yourselves, starting on Tuesday night, NASCAR versus IndyCar. NASCAR continue their Pro Series. We've got ourselves also the 16th Street Racing League. Come and watch the very best IndyCar sim racers go toe-to-toe. The likes of Will Power and the likes of Simon Pagenaud and more real-life IndyCar drivers featuring in the 16th Street Racing League. And also, don't forget, on Wednesday, we've got ourselves the Pro Race of Champions, which is going to be a slightly somber event. Of course, one driver who's racing that many years before is Justin Wilson, so we're going to have time to remember him this coming Wednesday in the iRacing.com Pro Race of Champions, which, by the way, it's the one event, for some reason, I never get a call to help commentate on. So PSR TV, if you're listening, I am free Wednesday night, okay? Do you think that's a suitable plug there, Jake?
Sorry?
I said, do you think that was a suitable plug?
Yeah, that was very suitable, very informative, and of course you have the talent for it, so I don't see why not. Right now, at the moment, it is Dave Gelink out ahead by 1 minute and 20 seconds ahead of Sylvain Pomerady, who did have to, they were at one stage just split by 2 seconds about half an hour ago, but now the gap is 1 minute 20 due to a collision between Sylvain Pomerady and a C2 driver. That caused him to have a 30-second penalty, and that is why the gap has opened up in C1.
Yeah, 3 drivers remaining in your C1 division, basically in the hunt for the race, on the lead lap, shall we say. Dave Gelink, Sylvain Pomerady, and Mark Hewitt. That is your C1 update. Moving back to C2. We do apologise to the C1 drivers. We're not going to talk about them much before the end of the race. Of course, Van Newton now 42.4 seconds behind. Stefan Mushlar, of course, is on that alternate strategy right now. He's going to have to pit one more time by the looks of it. In fact, most of these people have to pit at least one more time. We have to look at the play clock. We have to see when these guys come in for their second stop, so Jake, because if they can't make it into the final hour before they pit, they are going to have to do 2 more, which is going to be very interesting. And at the same time, we have still got ourselves that fantastic battle on C3, which very easily could come down to strategy as well.
Yes, I do have to agree with you. It's all starting to tighten up because Buck is catching Maillard hand over fist right now. He is doing everything he possibly can to bring himself into second in class. He was 4th. There was an incident with Karel Vorochovsky and the C2 driver of Michel de Jong at number 4. Michel de Jong served a penalty for it. Wachowski still carrying on, but Daniel Buck with arguably overtake of the race so far here, Will.
Indeed so. Just having a look around. There's going to be some fireworks before the end of this event. Still plenty of action to go. Jason Gerard scored back now to 2.3 seconds behind Mike Van Newsom. And, well, going to talk to Mr. Jacob Desmarais again. Jacob. Iron Man is going to be my interesting one now. I'm trying to figure out who's going to get it. Geelink is in the best position, and Evan Milliard, I think. So long as they just continue pushing, they could well be your best drivers. I don't think we're going to have a driver do it with 0 this year.
Yeah, I highly doubt it. And I'm curious to see what Anders is, although I don't think he's really gone off track, but he is cutting the corners a bit here and there, so that might go against him.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye out on in the remaining part of this event. And corner cutting has been an interesting one today, because these guys have really been abusing the curves, and of course that was a downfall to 2 drivers potentially in your C1 field. Kimi Yasingami, of course, that was the contributing factor. The biggest one, of course, was the driver who lost at the very beginning, PJ Sturgis, out of the event.
Yeah, corner cutting's been, I've handed out a couple warnings for that, no black flags though. And yeah, it was disappointing for PJ. He's a friend of mine and was excited to do the race for the first time, but lost it there in the first couple of laps.
Yeah, so that's going to be an interesting one, as we say. Getting down to the last hour, do you think there's going to be any strategy craziness?
Well, I don't think anybody will have to pit twice. I know Sylvian's in a weird spot though, because he definitely took some fuel and tires when he pit for his penalty, but we'll probably have to pit again, although it'll probably be a shorter stop, so maybe he'll be able to tighten up his gap a little bit that way, but at 1 minute and 20 seconds, I don't think he has much of a chance to catch Geelink.
No, and his pit stop was 53.5 seconds, so realistically he did about 2/3 of pit stop, really filled it up, and just basically went out driving again. So even if he does manage to go, he'll only gain about 20-25 seconds on what is an infernal gap right now. I think Geelink's just managing that gap out front though. The times have dropped off, 2 seconds behind his fastest, but that guy really just needs to bring that car home, and you'll see when he gets up behind traffic, he is bathing it right now.
Yeah, at the moment he is doing everything he possibly can to get himself back into a position now of fighting. I'm talking about Sylvain Pomerady, who is in 2nd position at the moment, the number 114 car. He is now 1 minute 20 seconds back, as was previously stated, and he'll be looking to try and just chip away. He's got an hour to chip away, an hour and about 5 minutes, I guess, to chip away at that gap, to try and bring 1 minute 20 seconds back down to what it was about half an hour, 3/4 of an hour ago, on to naught. And as you can see, John Stetzel being lapped, I believe, by Mike Thunison. He is in a battle for 2nd at the moment. They're getting a little bit caught up there through 14 and gets away very comfortably there from the back marker. And it just seems very, very controlled at the moment from Thunison, but it's even more controlled from the driver, who is number 20.
Indeed so. There we can see Thunison on board with him, 41.5 seconds to gap to himself and Stefan Muschler. Of course, Thunison's been on pit road recently. He is on an alternate strategy, which probably won't bear him many fruits, because he will still have to pit again, same as everyone else. And actually, his final pit stop should be shorter though, so we'll gain a little bit of time. Let's go back to C3. Let's go and have a look at Evan Milliard.
I'm going to interrupt you here because Stefan Mugelar has gone and spun it down into what I believe is turn number 1. He's got it going again, but that is a costly mistake, and he will lose probably 5 to 10 seconds there on that one error.
Let's get ourselves another look at that then. Stefan Muschler, maybe just getting a little... Oh, this is the issue. Radical's car came across, took the corner, dirty air, locked up, got himself a little bit of dirt on his tyres, and there we are. Stefan Muschler, as a consequence, I'd say that's closer to 10 seconds than 5 to be fair, but then of course he had to baby that car through turn number 2 and 3 down into NASCAR bend. Let's have a look then. Was he okay for NASCAR? A little bit timid, but he actually gets through okay without any issue. That gap is down to 33 seconds, so a net loss there of 9 seconds, Jake.
Yes, it is, and they're just getting out of the way. They're heading up towards turn 11. The car ahead has gone off, and that is Jared Lawson, who was trying to get out of the way of Stefan Muschler, and he has gone and binned it into the left-hand side tyres.
Oh, so again, fatigue is kicking in. A lot of things are just kicking in right now. These drivers, of course, have been racing for just under 2 hours. They've been practicing before then. It's been a fatigue and the mental fatigue. And I always say that in any form of endurance racing, there's about that 1.5 hours. And after that, you kind of hit a brick wall in terms of your mental and physical fatigue. So now, it's a case of, can these drivers just keep it together?
Yes, it is, because of course we still have 1 hour left of racing, and we've seen about a third of the field already depart within that opening 2/3. Now the final third is where the mistakes generally tend to happen with these drivers. A few drivers will be looking to be quiet, looking to be consistent. There have been some very quiet and consistent drivers down the field. For example, Matt Shinowski, he's been very quiet. Another name in C3, Manuel Sanchez, we haven't really mentioned him. He's been very quiet there, sitting in 17th position. But really, what you need to do is just calm yourself down once again. It's just getting back into that groove, into that rhythm. You've only got 1 more hour to go, so just focus on it.
Yep, another group of people making mistakes. The Indianapolis Colts. Come on, really? A punt return? There we are. Manuel Sanchez, 4.8 seconds behind it. Simon Trendell. We've got ourselves a couple of people on pit road. Roman Okada, his day looks as though it is going to be done. There you can see him on pit road. Get a look for more aerial coverage. Brought to you by And1 Design. You can see that car is on pit road. It's going to be in pit road for a potentially sizable amount of time. Let's look. Is everyone even in the car? Nope. The lights are on, but no one's home in that number 37 C2 car. When we get to the top of the hour, we will run through everything so far. Yes, Mr. J.
Yes, we will. It'll be it's not really close, you'd say, at the moment in C1. It's been a case for Dave Gelink of sit there and be very, very consistent. The number 32 driver has a gap of 80 seconds out in front. He is doing all he can to control the race at the moment. Last time he passed round, he was very, very comfortable there, about to start his 50th lap of the race shortly, and he's done a very good job, I think, at the moment, just to keep the race at his pace and at his sort of control and stay out of trouble.
Indeed, we are going to ride a lap on board with Daniel Buck. He's your big mover so far in C3. He is desperately trying to get himself up to the rear of Evan Malia before we get ourselves into the pit stop window, which will be very, very soon. In fact, it could well be this lap. So we're going to go on board now with that driver of Daniel Buck. He could come onto pit road. He might stay out another lap. Of course, if he can stay out another lap, then he will be in a better position strategy-wise for the end of this event. We expect them in the next 2 to 3, shall we say. Just having a look there, we've got Andrew Stahl. He is stayed out. Evan Maillard, well, he's just ahead on track, and you can see Daniel Buck going very wide, and he comes onto pit road. So, interesting here for Buck, because he might be a tiny bit short on fuel here, Jake.
Yes, he might be, so he's really, really guessing now on can he get to the end with about an hour to go, about an hour and 2 minutes maybe. He's got to really hope that he's going to fill that car right up to the brim and try and get it to the very, very end. He will be trying to fuel save. There you can see 1 hour remaining. Exactly. He will try and push that fuel tank to the very end so he can cross that line there in third, maybe even second, or possibly he might get a race win.
Who knows? We are going to have a look back on board of him then. 35.8 was times that were going on around him. He is doing a long start. 36.7. Is it enough? We've got ourselves 61 minutes remaining in this event. Back out of the way then comes Daniel Buck. 45-second stop for him as he's now back out onto the racing surface. That means we should expect Anders Dahl in soon, Evan Maillard in soon, Karol Wachowski in soon as well. In fact, everyone's going to come in for a pit stop in the next 5 to 10 minutes or so. Give you an update then. Let's run through your top 5 in each of your classes as we hit that 2-hour mark here on RaceSpotTV, the 5th annual TARGA Virginia. We start in the wonderful world of C1. Dave Geeling, pretty much dominating right now by 1:17 over Sylvain Pomerad. Pomerad had himself a penalty that took him out of the running. Mark Hewitt is in 3rd place. They are only 2 drivers right now on the lead lap. Hewitt is 1 lap down. Kimi Asinyemi, who led the first hour of the event, then got himself involved in an incident with the C2 car. He is all the way down. P4, 5 laps back. And Martin Ensman runs at your top 5 in C number 1. Attrition has been the order of the day there. Stefan Muchler leads right now in your C2 field. We've got guys on pit road as we speak. Mike Van Eason is in second. Jason Gerard just coming out of pit road. He is going to be in third. Mikel de Jong in fourth. And then John Stetzel rounding out your top five. We've got ourselves right now the driver of Matt Shinowski on pit road, as we just get ourselves a look there at pit road itself. And you can see that he has been on pit road for about 36 seconds. He's out and away in 36.1. So he comes back out onto track, but he's classified for the time being as last in class. And Anders Dahl is on pit road from the race lead. We thought he was short compared to Wachowski. Wachowski's on pit road at the same time. Evan Malliard is on pit road at the same time. This is where things are going to get interesting. Your top three are in simultaneously in C3, but we expect Anders Dahl to come out with the net lead in a moment's time. There you can see pit stop time heading itself now north of 30 seconds. We expect somewhere around 35, 36 seconds stop realistically. It is 35.5 for Anders Dahl. He is out and away. Evan Malliard, let's have a look where he is then. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35 seconds on pit road. He's going a bit longer. Evan Malliard, 37.3 seconds. He might have a bit of company soon from Daniel Buck. Karol Wachowski is on pit road as well. There you can see, doing a long service. We expected a long service for him. Of course, he was involved in an incident which took him out of the running. Pit stop time, it's a long one. It's over 45 seconds for him. So that is one thing that we're going to have to bear in mind. Interesting point to note here, Jake. Daniel Buck, 36.7 second pit stop. Anders Dahl, 35.5 second pit stop. Evan Malliard, 37.3. So we still don't know if Buck's got enough fuel to get to the end, but we know it's kind of close.
Yeah, it is close, and you can see he's really trying to bang in the lap times to catch back to Evan Malliard. Right now, he is about 3, 4, 5 seconds down the road from him. He'll be looking to try and pull that gap in. You can see he ran a little bit wide into turn number 3, NASCAR bend. He's just trying to pull that gap in. He just needs to calm down a little bit, keep himself concentrated though, because he has a job to do. And right now, fuel might be something in the back of his mind right now. But at the forefront, it's catching Evan.
Yeah, we've got a couple more people on pit road. We've got Simon Trendell. He's down in P number 5 in class. So you can see the Cell Plus car heading himself back onto the track in a moment or so's time. Pretty long pit stop, actually. 32 seconds, that's okay. Manuel Sanchez on pit road as well. In the Hawker car, 32.6 seconds, out and away. So these guys should be good now to go till the end of the race. You're wondering where Kimi Asanyemi is after he led the first hour. Well, he's 4 laps down. After an incident that took him out, involved with the C2 car. The attrition's been the order of the day. You can see still some damage there to that number 35 car. Unfortunately, he will not feature in the running for the race win, as Jamie Wilson there is about to finish off his stop. We just zoom in there from our aerial coverage. There's the other Cell Plus car and Energy Storage Technologies, apparently. Jamie Wilson just being dropped off the jacks there. He'll be out and away in just 1 second's time. See, 23, 24 seconds. We expect somewhere around 32. And ow, that Hasselbank's just been completely destroyed there. And is in pain. So if you're a Colt fan like me, it's time to get a little bit worried, unfortunately. Oh dear. Jamie Wilson is, say, back out onto track. So Sylvian Pomerade is on pit road, off pit road, 27.8 seconds. Oh, look at that. He's 2 minutes behind Dave Geeling. This is incredibly close, Jake.
Yes, it is, and he is really trying to hold that gap in. I didn't quite catch who you were talking about, which is... sorry?
Geeling.
Oh, Geeling. Oh, yeah, Geeling doing absolutely a beautiful job. It was 1:28 when they last crossed the line. Dave Geeling is doing everything that he can at the moment to control the race from the front, and he is doing a stellar job of it, I have to say.
Yep. So, let's have a look then. Have we got any battles going out on track? Well, we've technically got this one. Daniel Buck still fighting it out right now with Evan Malliard. There you can see the gap. It's 3.6 seconds. Buck wants to get himself P2. Wachowski really's fallen off now. 19 seconds back. He will probably feature no part in this event from now on. Let's have a look then. As we can see, riding himself through the climbing S's. That is Daniel Buck. We're going to ride the next lap on board with him. So we'll just pay attention to what's going on around him for the time being. Arnder Starr, by the way, 10.5 second advantage over Evan Maillard. Still about 10 seconds. Maillard needs to basically pretty much hit every apex perfectly if he even wants to stand a chance from now on in.
Yes, he does, because Daniel Buck is only so far back, and he needs to find about 15 seconds if he wants to catch Anders Dahl, and he's not got that gap sorted at the moment. Stefan Mujla in C2 class, he's coming for his second stop at the moment. He is down in second right now in his class. Mike Thunison is ahead, but of course he made an earlier stop. So the question is, will his splash and dash be enough to make him catch Stefan, or will Stefan's long and traditional two-stop strategy in this race serve him well? He has made mistakes, so do not count anything out at this part of the situation.
Indeed so, very quickly. Give a shout out to Gaming XIX, which my math does work for Roman numerals. That is Gaming 19, essentially. Shout out to you. No, they're not prototypes, they are radicals. As I very nicely said at the top of the broadcast, they are prototypes, they're not prototypes. Honest, they are radicals. The little brother, even, of maybe a Riley Daytona prototype or a LMP car, but these cars, they are a car of their own. They are fantastic to race in. We're going to do an onboard lap with Dave Geelink in about 25 minutes time, but for the time being, let's spend a lap on board the guy trying to hunt down P2. This is Daniel Buck in the number 13 car as we ride on board with him for a lap. Well, that's a lap in C3. That was nice, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I do have to agree with you, but the race leader is into the pits. That is Dave Geelink. We will see how long his stop will take. He managed to pull out a 2-minute gap without that pit stop. Of course, Sylvain Pomerady came in first. Mark Hewitt will come through to theoretically unlap himself. At the moment, it's a 3-car fight at the moment, which seems very one-sided.
It does, indeed, but Dave Geelink, let's turn our attention back over to him then, because he should be out and away in a couple of seconds. If he's not, then we're going to be sad. But no, he's okay. So there we are. Dave Geelink out and away, 32.4 second stop. So there we are. Back out to racetrack, 1 minute 58 second advantage. I think he'll literally stop off at the drive-thru on the opposite side of the racetrack and order himself a Big Mac. He'll be fine by now.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he'll look to try and consolidate that lead if he needs to. If he starts to get a little bit peckish, he can go get some food if he wants to. He's got that much of a gap. But right now, at the moment, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the C3 battle, because the number 911 car of Eric Maillard is trying to chase down the car of Anders Dahl, who of course was a winner last year, and he has got a gap of about 7 to 10 seconds right now from what I can work out. And he's just got to try and stay calm here, does Anders Dahl. He knows the gap is there, he knows it will be starting to close, and he probably knows that Daniel Buck behind Evan Maillard is probably going to be trying to close up even on him as well.
Indeed so. I also want to commend Evan Maillard for getting himself a name change whilst racing at 150 miles an hour, but that's okay. Congratulations to Eric Maillard. You're going to hate working with me from now on, Jake, aren't you?
No, I'm not. See, it's all going to be fine in the end. We can have so many in-jokes that we can make our own comedy club.
Yes. Well, I was going to say, we could do the RaceSpotTV non-alcoholic drinking game, where, of course, you take a shot of a non-alcoholic beverage, like water, every time that we mess something up. But by now, you'll probably be way down by a good couple of litres.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. But we've got another 50 minutes or so to go. We've got still enough time to make at least 5 more mistakes. With these interesting racing that's going on. The battle in C2 is really heating up, because Stefan Muschler is back ahead of Mike Thunesen, and that's going to be interesting, which makes me think that Thunesen has made his 3rd stop here of the afternoon, and he will be trying now to pull back the gap to Stefan Muschler to try and rescue a win after a risky 3-stop strategy.
Yeah, and it's not going to work out for him realistically. Thunesen 36 seconds back, unless Muschler needs to come down the lane. It is all over for Mike Thunesen in terms of that battle in your C2 division. Just to let you know, by the way, Andy Starr had a tiny little moment down at the oak tree. He's okay. Gap's at 8.2 seconds. Fatigue kicking in for some of these drivers. We'll run through all of the retirees in a couple of moments' time. We've got 1 or 2. It looks as though they're going to try and bring their cars back. We've got 1 or 2 on pit road. There we can see there. Govan Keeney in the number 5 machine. His car is currently on pit road and not pushed it behind the virtual wall, so he may well try and come out at the end of this event. Well, we'll find out over the course of the next couple of laps. And don't forget as well, some people racing for respect and pride right now. We've got 2 of them nose to tail on track. They're not running for positions, but Martin Ensman and Kimi Esanyemi having a bit of a scrap anyway, even though they are multiple laps down. Esanyemi should find a way past at some point over Martin Ensman. In fact, he's going to try and do that right now. There we are, get ourselves a look as he comes down to the inside. Nice and easily done. Isn't it crazy how he's 4 laps back, but still, in fact, yeah, he's 4 laps back, but still in P number 4. Ensman is down in P5 and is 8 laps back. That really sums up the attrition issues for that C1 group here today.
Yes, it does. Of course, the curbs really aren't your best friend when you're driving that C1 radical car. You put it into the curb and sometimes you just get a meatball and the damage is done, and you will have to come into the pits for another stop. A name that also is out right now is Romer Alcala. He is gone from the C2 field, so our C2 field now is down to a paltry 7 drivers from what it originally was at the beginning, which was 11.
Oh no. Jason Gerard is running 3rd right now in class in the Excelsior Racing Team car. I am going to ask Jacob Desmarais for his favourite paint scheme before the end of the race. In fact, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to do it now, Jacob.
You'll think I'm boring, but I really like John Stetzel's paint scheme. Last year we had a bit of a competition to do like classic paint schemes, and I didn't do that this year again, but his is a bit classic looking and I enjoy that.
There we are. There is a number 33 Canon EOS car heading himself down in towards turn number 1. There you can see Lancers, Canon. I like actually what they've done with the numbering for that car. It really blends in well to the side of that G2 car. Of course, we've had a couple of crazy ones in C3. A lot of them are classified as down in the field or out of the race. I have to say, in terms of cleanest, you're going to have to give it to the Cell Plus car in that C3 division. Although you've got yourself a couple of crazy ones, unfortunately, classified as out of the race. Govankini's car still will get me the best one, in my opinion. If we can try and get ourselves a look at it. There we are. He's still on pit road, showing it all to us. I love just the bespokenness of that one. So I think for the time being, he's going to be my favourite car of the race. There's not really much that's car-wise in C1, unfortunately. Look how plain and boring Dave Geelink's car. At least we can say that they haven't wasted any money, Jake, on putting sponsor or anything on there. Maybe the car's later, and that's why he's leading by a minute 7.
Yes, you could say that. Very interesting to see, though, with Anders Dahl, who was coming into the Oak Tree section. The leader, he was in C3, and he still is. He just started to lose the back end a little bit. Managed to correct it. Didn't go off the track, but he must have lost at least half a second there with that correction. But right now, they've really got to try and focus even more, because now there is only 40 minutes left, and you feel that 40 minutes, well, it doesn't seem that long of a time in comparison to the 3 hours that you had at the very beginning, but those 40 minutes you have to concentrate for just as much as those 2 hours 20 that you've already started to do.
Yep, you need to close the deal now. Shout out to Sky Willis, by the way. Unfortunately, I haven't got any Foco coconut juice with meat, which is a bit of an in-joke that we had from the RaceSpotTV 24 Hours of Spa, which you probably didn't watch, Jake, but I found the weirdest name of a drink ever. It was Foco coconut juice, but then they said it had meat in it. What they meant was pulp, but, you know, the idea of having steak and coconut juice in a can, probably less appealing.
Yes, I do agree with you there. Don't really want to say that you've got meat in your drink. It doesn't really appeal, but you know, it's small print, so not many people do get a chance to read it. On board now with Michel de Jong, who had an incident earlier on in this race through the second hour. He managed to pick up a 30-second penalty for that after making contact with a C3 car, which I believe was Karel Verachovsky, and that is why Verachovsky has a lot of damage to him. Michel de Jong is currently going through this spiral section, a beautiful section of corners, down the hill into the right, and then the long sweeping 180-degree left-hander, a beautiful section of track there, Will.
Indeed, uphill, downhill, elevation change, natural beauty, and yeah, it wasn't designed by Herman Tilke, so it's actually raceable at. Michel de Jong heading himself now down into the roller coaster section of the racetrack. Once again, they can see left-hand side of your screen, top 6 drivers. Let's run through some of the retirees, starting, of course, with PJ Sturgis. Mechanical issues over the curbs put him out of the race. He was a front runner in C1. Joe Hafner is out of the race. Nilton Carvalho, Jarl Tien for Phoenix Motorsports. Jack Sedgwick is out. Julian Morndek out of the race. One of the greatest paint schemes we've seen all day as well. Then we've also got ourselves Cedric Finzak out. Dylan Francis out. Troy Schuster, Dow Taylor, Gobad Keeney, although he is still on pit road. William Levesque, who's a big name out, of course, down in the world of C3. Anderson Motor, Victor Tanaka, Roma Alcada, and Vincent Hervier out of the race. Bring back Jacob Desmarais back into this, of course, with William Levesque out, with no one who really can go and win a back-to-back win here, except for the guy leading in C3. That is Anders Dahl, who is 41 minutes and 25 seconds away from being a 3-time winner of TARGA, and that in itself demands respect.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the first year he did it in the Ford GT, and then last year he did it in the roof as well. So he's just got to try to do it in the Radical next year.
Do we get him a prize if he does a queen sweep and does actually 1, 2, 3 all over the place?
No prize for that, but if he can win it in all 3 classes, I'll have to think up something for him.
Yeah, we're riding on board of Evan Maillard right now. He is 8 seconds behind Anders Dahl. He has closed that gap down to actually now just below 8 seconds. However, there's still plenty of really time and opportunity for Anders to get himself involved in this. The good thing is, of course, like Jake, because we've only got 3 C1 cars and 7 C2 cars running in your field right now, traffic's easier for Anders Dahl.
Oh, yes, it is. Anders Dahl is in 11th position overall at the moment. He is 3 laps down for the leader, Dave Gelink, who has just gone and passed by Evan Mallard as they just crossed the line. So in about 8 seconds down the road is Anders Dahl. So we're looking at, I don't know, about 3 laps time. 2 to 3 laps time, we'll be seeing Dave Gelink fly by the C3 leader.
Yep, we'll try and get that one on photo for you. 40 minutes remaining officially now. We're going to step aside for the final time in this event. You won't miss a thing. We'll take your RaceSpotTV side by side We'll be back with more after this. You're watching the 5th annual TARGA Virginia here on RaceSpotTV.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
You never miss a moment on RaceSpotTV. Well, you saw one crazy one. Dave Gearing, your C1 leader, was possibly chose the worst place possible, Jake. Try and get past C3 race leader Arnold Dahl. He did it in the end, but into the roller coaster isn't probably the best place to go.
No, it really isn't, because your car is being unsettled as you're going over the top, and it's just really, really difficult to try and get the downforce levels correct to hold it around the outside. He did a good job of it. He's now 63 seconds down the road from Sylvain Pomerade in second place, the number 114 car. It was pretty much as you were then in the front of the field, because Mark Hewitt is a further 1 minute and 12 seconds back down the road from your leader, from Sylvain Pomerade and Dave Gearing, further minute and 2, as I was previously stating. But right now, it seems to be the calm before the half-an-hour sprint for the Storm.
Yep. There you can see Kimi Asiniemi in to make his final pit stop. In fact, no, I think he's had enough. He's done. I can't see him crashing anywhere. But you can see he's out of the car. He's gone off, gone and got himself another Big Mac, and he might be back for the end of the race. He might not be. Who knows? Or maybe he's had another incident. We'll keep you updated on that one. In terms of your C3 battle, Evan Maillard's closed up another second. It's 7.6 now between himself and Anders Dahl. Although Buck is fading. He's 7.3 seconds behind Maillard now. So, really, it looks as though we've got our 1-2-3 unless anything crazy happens in this last half an hour, Jake.
Yes, anything can happen, of course, because there's still the traffic to negotiate with. And no matter where you are on circuit, the traffic is going to be what will be the factor. We've seen it take out a couple of drivers. We saw Wojciechowski himself be taken out by Michel de Jong. We've seen other instances as well with Sylvain Pomerade. He had an incident with one of the C2 cars. So, you know, it's still there. There's still half-minute penalties which you could still incur. So you can't say that any driver in the top 3 or 4 is actually out of the race yet with just over half an hour to go.
Yeah, running on board of Mark Hewitt. He's P3 in class. Doing last lap time 3:01. He's come in to make his final stop of the day. So Hewitt right now is 1 minute 52 seconds behind Sylvain Pomerade and 1 lap behind the race leader. There is Evan Maillard behind. In front of him even. He's going to look down to the inside. That was nice. That was easy. That was simple. So he has done that. Let's have a look. Simon Trendell, he's still running himself inside the top 5. He's actually being caught a little bit by Manuel Sanchez. You're going to pay attention to this for a moment or two. Manuel Sanchez last time by within a tenth of a second of Trendell. These two guys keep on trading lap times. So realistically, Jake, something could happen here. It all depends again on fatigue. We just need to make sure that Trendell, like everyone else, just make sure that they don't put a wheel on the white line or offline and get themselves marbles, etc. Because it would be a shame to fall outside the top 5 in the last half an hour. And let's give a shout out really overall, because the C3 guys, they really, without maybe 1 or 2 exceptions, have been pretty clean in this event.
Yes, they have. They've done very well to keep out of the way of the quicker cars, and they've had some very fantastic battling for themselves. What comes to mind is Daniel Buck's fantastic overtake on Karel Wojciechowski on the outside into the spiral complex of 16, 17 and 18. A very good job then from him. But right now, Manuel Sanchez is in 6th position. He is doing a reasonably good job there. He's had a really quiet race. He hasn't really done anything, and there you can see the clock ticking over. Half an hour is left in this race before the final lap. The white flag will come out.
Yeah. So there we can see we've got ourselves most people now in a position. We promised a look on board with Dave Gearing. We'll do that next time he crosses the start-finish line. 102.8. That sounds like a radio station. 1 minute 2.8 seconds is the gap he has right now over his competition as he works himself through the climbing S's. You see, pretty much flat out, not taking too many risks. However, Gearing still leading the way. Sylvain Pomerade is actually going to be working himself in the exit now of the roller coasters. Actually, what we'll do is we'll ride a lap on board with Sylvain in that Radicals Online car, of course, out of the running due to a 30-second penalty incurred earlier on. Otherwise, he could have had a shot. But Sylvain Pomerade, a lap on board with him. still pushing. He is still pushing there. Sylvain Promenade again. In fact, the gap is now just about 1 second. Mark Hewitt, however, has just had himself an incident. Let's get ourselves another look at this one. Mark Hewitt in that number 23 machine. Let's see what happened to him. This is down in towards turn number 1. Did he just outbrake himself? Does he catch a white line? We're going to find out in about 5 seconds. And he just loses the back end there. Again, fatigue late on in this event, Jake.
Yes, but you have to say Mark Hewitt, he doesn't really have that much to lose compared to the other drivers. Say if that happened down in C2 or C3, the 30-second gap would be closed down. Right now, Mark Hewitt's biggest challenge, of course, with Kimi Tsunamieni out of the race, it seems, his biggest challenge is 7 laps down right now. He's not really got anything to lose, so he can push that a little bit harder if he wants, try and go for a fastest lap, but he's not really got anything there that's going to really phase him. He's got 25, 30 minutes left to try and hold on to the car as we see them trying to go through wide possibly. It won't happen, but through will go Mark Hewitt, comfortably through past your C1 leader, no, C3 leader even, which is Anders Dahl.
Indeed it is. Anders Dahl, 6.4 seconds is the gap though between himself and Evan Maillard. Maillard is trying his hardest to close down. Let's have ourselves a look then. He is 6.6 seconds, say, behind Evan as it stands. Looking on board with him. Last time by 2:31.9 for Evan Maillard. He is really pushing this one, isn't he, Jake?
Yes, he is pushing. He is trying to get the gap down. By my calculations, I think, though, he is going to be short by about 3 seconds, I believe. He's catching about a second every 10 minutes or so. That is about every 5 laps. He's catching 2/10 a lap. He's not doing enough at the moment to try and get himself into a position where he can challenge effectively Anders Dahl from getting his 3rd Targa win here in this Virginia Targa overall.
Yeah, just having a look then at Sylvain. He's in P2. He's trying to come up behind. That is a Mike Van Newson there down into the roller coaster. Having a look from the rear of Van Newson as they head themselves down. That's not the rear, that's the rear. As you head yourself down now out the final corner, down towards turn number 1. There you can see Mike Van Newson. Now we can have a look at the front as he's got himself that Radicals car lasting off into the sunset. That is Sylvain Pomerade. There is Radicals going past Phoenix in C1 versus C2. Van Newson, of course, still running in P2, but that strategy for Van Newson really didn't work, Jake.
No, it didn't. He tried to go for a bold 3-stop strategy and get as many lap times as he possibly could. There was not really much of a reason for him to go on to that 3-stop strategy, but he tried it, and at the moment it seems that for his Targa, it didn't actually manage to pay off.
Martin Engren's back out on track. He's 4 laps back from Kimi Tsunamieni, so in theory he could move himself up 1 position. And he's currently in P5, that would be P4. Only 4 of your C1 drivers still running in this event with 24 minutes and change remaining. Having a look a little bit further up, Mark Hewitt is just working himself through Oak Tree. He came up as very slow on timing and scoring, but he is still going. There you can see him. Still running in P number 3. Of course, he had himself that moment a couple of laps ago. There you can see on the left-hand side of your screen the times as they stand. And after a good lap, it was a sloppy lap last time by for Evan Maillard. He's now back to 7.5 seconds behind Anders Dahl. Daniel Buck seems to have faded. The big shame for me really has been the incident involving Karol Wachowski, where Wachowski was, I would say, running to. I'm going to be nice to Mikel de Jong. I'm going to say running to down in turn number 3, which really cost us what would have been a fantastic climax to this C3 battle.
Yeah, it was a shame because it was a really weird incident. You have to say that Michel de Jong was being a little bit impatient. He'd already tried to make a move onto the right-hand side, moved to the left-hand side, and boom, the contact was made. But generally, it's been a good race, clean-wise, from these drivers. Let's compare it to, say, 2K Eliminator, where there was a lot of incidents going on with the lap times that they were generating. It was really, it's been quite clean here and very respectful from these drivers.
Yep, and the Dahl has now the pleasure of having Sylvain Pomerade right behind him. And you can see Sylvain in that Radicals car, going to look down to the inside. DRS? Really? In this race? I don't think so. There's no DRS available, unfortunately. Of course, don't forget the new McLaren is out. That does have DRS. And the IndyCar, of course, has pushed the pass, but you can use that in the IndyCar. wherever you want to. Manuel Sanchez, let's go on board with him. Still trying to close that gap down to Simon Trendell. It's below 3 seconds, but really, Trendell needs to make a mistake, I think, for Sanchez to have a chance.
Yes, Trendell is having a very consistent stage of his race as we are into the very late stages now. Just thinking now, gearing up to the finish, not really that long left. You don't want to be making a very silly mistake late on. Mind you don't want to be making a silly mistake at all. But he's doing a very good job there in that number 86 machine. He's kept it pretty much out of trouble for most of the day. He's kept very quiet, and he's done a very good job with it.
One other guy who's keeping very quiet is this one. It is Stefan Muschler, who is still leading by 40 seconds over Mike Knudsen. He's really dropped off the pace, but that's because he's got a 40-second advantage. He can afford to drop off the pace now. We've got 10 laps to go, and even if he was 2 seconds a lap slower, he'd still have himself a 20-second gap. So, Stefan Muschler right now working himself down through the little chicane area, which hasn't got a name. It's turns 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 25A. You finish off at the roller coaster, which is this right-hander, which is coming into... Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Now. So there we are. And that's the roller coaster there for Stefan Muschler. They say he has dropped off a little bit, but Muschler hasn't really put a foot wrong. I would be interested to see what his incident number will be at the end of this one, check, because he could be a contender, along with your C1 winner, Dave Geeling, for potentially having the fewest incidents.
Yes, of course, the Iron Man is an integral part of this TARGA. It will be interesting to see who has the least amounts of incident points, and therefore will be claimed as the Iron Man of this TARGA for the 5th annual Virginia TARGA here on RaceSpotTV. This will be a very interesting battle, though. It's not one that you'd normally see. Of course, it's a little bit more difficult for the quicker drivers, you could potentially say, because they have to fight their way through a field. They have to fight their way so that they're not making contact with these smaller cars down in the field, these RUFs that are C3 cars, or even the Ford GTs of the C2 cars. But right now, Anders Dahl is out in front in C3, it's Stefan Muschler in C2, and C1, it is Dave Gellick who is out in front by 1 minute and 3 seconds.
Yeah, and there you can see Anders Dahl in that 03 car, starting another lap in that Virgil racing car. And there you can see also Stefan Muschler. He is running himself. Where is he now? Down at Oak Tree. So it'll be interesting. I don't think we'll have any fuel situations. If we do, then we're going to look like complete idiots for saying that Muschler is on a decent strategy. He was 36.5 seconds in his last pit stop. We don't think he has to pit again. If he does, please someone tell us now. Otherwise, we're going to look like complete buffoons. And there you can see, ongoing battle, Simon Trendell versus Manuel Sanchez, 2.8 seconds right now. In the ongoing battle between Evan Maillard and Anders Dahl, 6.6 seconds is the gap. I'm going to bring Jacob Desmarais back into the conversation here. Jacob, we're doing this again next year.
Yeah, of course. I'm hoping iRacing, they just implemented a few tracks that have additional pit stalls by having people pit on top of each other. So hoping, of course, they do that here so we can finally have 60 cars and maybe introduce a 4th class.
What class would that be? Would you go slower, so have something like a Mazda or a Ford Mustang, or are you thinking about going faster?
Yeah, I think we'd go slower. I think the Radical's about as fast as you want to go in a multi-class here, but in the past I have run both the Mustang, and the MX-5. So either of those, or maybe something completely different, who knows?
Well, the thing is, the MX-5 would throw itself around the corners like a little puppy running after a ball. The Ford Mustang, basically, you have to hit a braking zone about 30 minutes before you actually turn into the corner. So it's much more of a point and squirt car. So each have their advantages, each have their disadvantages.
Yeah, I mean, in 2011, we did the MX-5, and it was such a speed difference, but really exciting for that reason. In 2012, we did the Cadillac versus the Riley, which was interesting as well. And then 2013 was the Mustang and the Radical again, I believe. And that was kind of equally as challenging because the cars drive very different. Today, I think all 3 of these cars drive similarly enough that it's not such an issue, but if you get radically different driving cars, it can be pretty interesting in the tight sections.
Yeah, it's about a 5-second lap difference between C1 and C2 in terms of lap time. You're looking at about 5 seconds a lap difference between C2 and C3, especially when things are settled down, which on a 2-minute lap time, that is reasonable. We did see, of course, at the start of this event from the faster C3 drivers being able to stay within sight of the slower C2 drivers, but it's not. I remember at the Road Atlanta, for example, you get yourself a prototype and then you put yourself in a GT3 car. It literally is like driving down I'm going to say Vietnamese highway where there's just no room and anything at all. So it'll be interesting to see on that one. Are you going to give us driver of the day before we say goodbye to you later?
I gotta go with Dave Gielink. I mean, he came back last year, you know, finishing second after driving a really good race then, and has kind of driven flawlessly, and that's what counts here. Not going the quickest, but be consistent.
And there we can see Gielink right now heading himself on the exit of Hogpen down the front straightaway, which a bit like Monaco doesn't actually really have a straight to it. You're always turning that wheel down in towards turn 1. He comes again. Thank you very much, Jake. We'll talk to you before the end of this event. And well, we've not really got a storm here today, Jake. It's more of a case of let's get these cars home. Let's give some congratulations out. Of course, Style is still trying to defend that 7-second lead as he looks to become the first 3-time winner of Targa. But it looks as though for the time being he is okay, as I have to say, very clean Virtual Racing car. Actually doesn't seem to have much damage to it at all. I know it had a very dirty windshield on its first lap. It's much cleaner now.
Yes, it is, and I have to say, it hasn't been a storm today, more of a mild breeze. It's been very, very calm. It's been, generally we've had a few gusts, but it's been a good race here, and it's been very clean and very efficient, and Anders Dahl has done a fantastic job of getting ahead and staying there after the bout of the first pit stops, where he managed to get that 1 second head of Vorochovsky. You have to say, in second in the C2 class, Stefan Mushlar, who is my contender for driver of the day today, he's done a fantastic job. He kept it clean, he kept it ahead, and he's done all that he could, bar one very minor mistake which lost him 10 seconds, but at the end of the day it hasn't cost him the race. But Dave Gielink doing a very job at the moment. He's a minute and 3 seconds still ahead, keeping the gap fairly similar to Sylvain Pomerady, who's doing everything in his power to try and close down the inevitable, but it's just not enough for him at the moment.
It's not. I want to basically say about the kind of mild breeze, it's a bit like the weather at Western-super-Mare for about 360 days of the year.
Yeah, I do agree with you there. It is very breezy there out on the coast, and you have to say you do have to wrap up a little bit warm and just hope that it's not going to be a really, really bad day.
This is what happens, by the way, when you get two British commentators. We relate everything to typical British weather. And I am actually sat down with a cup of tea, but my tea has gone cold. I'm not wondering why I got out of bed, because this has been a fantastic race. But my tea is cold. Only 15 minutes to go, 14 minutes and 30 seconds left on the play clock. Don't forget, by the way, this coming week on iRacing Live, we've got a big one, a very big one. We start, of course, tomorrow. Not tomorrow, take that back. We start on Tuesday. There is no Club UK Ireland Skip Barber Racing Series this week. It's week 13, so no Monday night skippies. But on Tuesday, NASCAR versus IndyCar. The NASCAR Pro Series presented by LSR TV, streaming live on iRacing Live. They go over to Atlanta. Alternatively, you could be an IndyCar fan as they go to Texas Motor Speedway, join some of the biggest names in sim racing, as well as the likes of Will Power and Simon Pagenaud battling it out with some of the world's greatest IndyCar sim racers. They are both Tuesday night. That will be 8 p.m. Eastern Time for the 16th Street Racing League, powered by Verizon, and 9 p.m. for the NASCAR Pro Series. Both of them streaming live on iRacing Live. Then on Wednesday, it is the iRacing.com Pro Race of Champions. We get some sim racers who are real world drivers. We put them in an oval and a road course race. Hilarity will ensue. It's always a good race, good way to wrap up the year. That will be on PSR TV, streaming live also on iRacing Live. And then, of course, this coming weekend, in 7 days' time, it's time to bring this one back out. The Neo Endurance Series and the Gathering of Tweakers Endurance Series. They do another round. And, as always, you can see it here on RaceSpotTV, streaming live also on iRacing Live. Okay, I've got that out of the way. Don't need to do that again now. Evan Maillard just dropped back by about a second over the last 2 laps. I think he's given up now, Jake.
Yeah, it is a shame the gap wasn't going to be closing down, and you thought, oh, maybe first is a little bit out of my reach. Let's just consolidate second place right now. Daniel Buck isn't going to be chasing me. He might be even possibly running out of fuel. So it's generally with about 10-12 minutes left. He's got to consolidate for another 5 laps or so, 4-5 laps, and just hope that he's just going to keep it calm and keep it together.
Yep. Closest battle we have on track is still Simon Trendale versus Manuel Sanchez. We'll check in on that battle in a couple of moments' time. Understar still leads in C3 from Evan Malliard, from Daniel Buck. They are your top 3. In C2, this guy, Stefan Mushla, still leading the way from Mike Finewsome. Then you've got yourself, Jason Gerard, who rounds out your top 3. And then your top 3 in C1. Dave Dealing from Sylvian Pomerelli, from Mark Hewitt. We're going to ride the next lap then on board with the 4GT. Yes, it's not a Mercedes AMG V10 or V8, but it is a 4GT. It's pure American brutality here in this thing that we like to call our C2 4GT. So let's experience this one as Stefan Mushla heads himself then through the roller coaster. He'll be coming down in just 1 second into Hog Pen, turn number 28 and 28A on the racetrack. And let's look and enjoy on board with your C2 class leader, 41 seconds ahead of Mike Finewsome. There we are. 2 minutes and 27 seconds of bliss there for Stefan Mushla to 27.948 actually. Here's an interesting one, Jake. If you're leading your class by 59 seconds and you've got 8 minutes and 30 seconds left to go in a race, what don't you do?
What I wouldn't do is to start going aggressive, start trying to make overtakes which aren't realistically possible. What I do have to say for Dave Gelling is that he did make a move which was almost contact with another car, and he has to just be really careful and calm down. He's got 8 minutes to go. He can afford to relax a little bit, calm down, stay behind the cars even a little bit more than he does already, and just find the perfect opportunity on the straight in one of the tracks where straights just are really hard to come by.
Yeah, and it was Karol Wojciechowski who almost hit, and of course that would have been the second time today Wojciechowski's been involved in an incident. But thankfully, all is well in the world of Targa right now. Of course, in theory, if Geelink was to actually have hit him, he could have got a penalty. And if he got a penalty, then he would basically be neck to neck with Sylvain Pomerad. So that would be the implications if he did actually hit him. Because the penalty right now for 30 seconds plus pit road time is about 1 minute. So Geelink, be careful. You've got 7 minutes, 30 seconds to go. One thing I got on Twitter, by the way, is apparently we've not talked about our eating choices today. Now, most people who watch the Neo Endurance series will know we get to about 3 hours in and everyone's attention turns to food. Being a 3-hour race, basically we can normally just about survive. However, Mr. Jacob Dismaris, it is currently, what, 3 o'clock in America, is it?
Yeah.
On the East Coast. Yeah, 3 o'clock on the East Coast.
4 o'clock, actually.
4 o'clock. Oh, see, I'm completely wrong. In fact, late games are starting. I should know that. What is on the menu for Mr. Jacob Dismaris here today?
Oh, I gotta go find something. After this, probably go for a run and then, I don't know, find something good to eat.
Don't stop off at Wendy's, otherwise you'll just basically get rid of all the fun of running. Mr. Jake Sperry, what is for dinner in the Sperry household tonight?
Well, it was fish and chips at the start of the commentary, but yep, it was fish and chips to start with. But coming back home to my other house that I have, because, you know, parents split and what have you, we're going to probably have something which I don't know yet. So I'll say I'll be having a meal of Ifit.
An Ifit. I like that idea. Is your house in the middle of the street?
Yes, I believe it is in the middle of my street, so we can cue all the Madness songs we like.
Indeed we can. For those of you wondering, by the way, I'm the boring one. I've got myself a boiled ham, which has been boiling this entire 3 hours and previously, so that is going to be served with some bread and some brie. There we are. So that is your food out of the way here. So for all of you who are watching from Neo and thinking, where is our food choices? There you are. You now know. Don't forget, by the way, if you're missing anything and you wish that you were watching 2 broadcasts at once, you can head over, join Hugo Louise and Cam Walsh. You've got yourself the Javelin of Tweakers American Team Challenge. Put it up on another screen. Keep watching commentary for the next 5 minutes. Don't forget, interviews coming up after this race. And stick it with us. And then you can watch the conclusion of their event as well, which is what I am doing, especially as the Indianapolis Colts no longer know how to play football. In fact, the only thing that's been more disappointing than them this season is basically the Texas Longhorns in college football. Let's go back and have a look at Dave Geelink. That gap is down to 58 seconds. There's 1, 2, 3 cars ahead. Realistically, we're looking at 3 laps to go. 2 laps after this one, actually, Jake.
Yes, it's just a matter of a cool down, and it could possibly be a celebration for Dave Geelink right now. He's just got, I think he's fueled up perfectly. He had a 45-minute splash and dash in his pit box, and there, as you can see, as he's crossing the line, he's got about another 5 minutes left on the clock to try and get himself home, which is going to be 3 laps when he gets a white flag as we go. But he's done a really good job today, and he's controlled the race from the front, and he's done all that he's needed, really. And it's just to stay calm, cool, and collected, and he's just got to continue doing that for another 5 minutes or so.
Things are happening. Daniel Buck has an issue. Karol Wojciechowski looking for retribution and a podium in the last 4 minutes of this event. So we have ourselves some scattered showers after all. Last time by, Daniel Buck at 2:37.324. Wojciechowski is right behind now with 4 minutes to go. By the way, quick one. This is an interesting one, Jacob. We're going to see the white flag with about 20 seconds left to go. If you're Dave Geelink, do you just crawl to a hole and let the white flag come out, or do you do the extra lap?
I think he's going to do the extra lap. I don't think he would slow it down that much, but you never know.
And it will be about 20 seconds that he has to basically stop off at the side road, be like a Le Mans driver back in the 1950s, go and light himself, I don't know, something, and go from there. But we have got a battle. Karol Wojciechowski versus Daniel Buck. Let's see, is there any more damage to that Carcheck's car? Has Karol Wojciechowski got himself an opportunity to get onto the podium? We're going to ride ourselves on board now with Wojciechowski, so we have got excitement at the end of this one. 4 tenths of a second. You can see Wojciechowski basically getting himself double opposite locked there on the exit of the corner. Not this time, Jake. You've got 3 laps, realistically, 2.5 laps. Just got to find yourself a spot. Just one spot, but you can't overdrive your car.
Yes, you do have to agree, or you could hope that Daniel Buck has underfueled his car. He tried to fuel it to the brim with about an hour and 5 to go. He might just not have done enough, and he might be in trouble right now. He's had to do extensive fuel saving. That's why he's lost onto the back of Evan Maillard right now, and he is going to be under all sorts of pressure through the spiral, and there is no real chance of an overtake barring a mistake until you get back to turn 1, and you're looking now down through this section of lefts and rights. It's a wonderful, fast flowing section of track, and right now Daniel Buck is having to hold on with everything that he's got to the final podium position.
Yeah, fuel saving here is always an interesting one. You want to go full rich when you are going yourself down the straightaways, but in the tight and twisty sections you can, because it is single file, you can try and fuel save. It'll be interesting to see the lap times as they come past the stripe. Is he still fuel saving? Has he done enough? This is your 2-minute warning. We're down to the last couple of laps here at Targa, Virginia. We still have ourselves a race. It's still possible for Chofsky down to the outside as he's having to come on towards pit road at the final moment. Then we talked about Buck coming on towards pit road early. He doesn't have enough. Karol Foczowski back into a podium position, and that is just heartbreaking for Buck. He will only lose 1 position overall, Jake, but that's a podium gone.
Yeah, it is, and he knew he had to do a lot of work to save the fuel. He knew he had a lot of time to try and make up. He was about 5 minutes short, so 2 laps, and there we go. It has shown right now that he did make an error on his second stop, and that will cost him, and it's cost him a podium. And to be honest, he had a fantastic race today, and it's not quite worked out for him, but 4th though is still a very good result for him today with all the retirements that we've had, and 15th overall in every car.
Yep. 24.3 seconds. So it's a bit more than a splash then. I think he might have just taken himself some tyres trying to do his fastest after the race. We'll figure it out. Daniel Buck will have himself an outlap and basically 1 flying lap. Let's go and have a look at Dave Geelink. 1 minute remaining. His last lap time, 2:23.1. Gap to himself and Sylvienne is still 57 seconds. So unless he's really going to slow it down now, he will see the white flag. The next time he crosses the start-finish line, there will be 1 more lap to go. So Dave Geelink now just heading himself up through the spiral, actually past the spiral, up through the S's, down in towards roller coaster. What will be his penultimate time. He's still holding that car on the absolute ragged edge, but 27 seconds remaining. There's about 25 seconds before the start-finish line. It is going to be close, actually. It is going to be very, very close. You can see there, he's slowing down. He's slowing down. And then he's picked up the speed again. He realised that he was too short. He will see the white flag this time by. He did try to slow it down, but then realised not much point. He does himself a lap there of 2 minutes 22.7. So he didn't actually slow it down much. White flag. 1 more lap to go, Jake.
Yeah, he was only short by about 4 seconds, so it wasn't as if that he couldn't have slowed down for 4 seconds. He would have just been trundling down the straightaway, but he's got to do it 1 more time. He does have traffic in front of him, and he's just got to be careful here as he goes through the left hook of turn number 4 right now. He's just got to keep it calm. 1 more lap, another 6 kilometers he's got to do here around the Targa, Virginia, and he will be safe and home, and he will have a overall race win to his credentials.
In 2011, it was Mathieu Labbé who won in C1. 2012, we actually didn't use Radical. It was the Daytona prototype when Ricco Adataro scored a victory for Glacier Racing. Then in 2013, a return to familiar ground. It was Apex Racing's Jesper Pedersen who won out before doing exactly the same in 2014. Now, this time last year, Dave Geelink was close, but he couldn't get himself the victory. He was able, however, to get himself the Ironman award. This time, he's hoping to double up, get himself the Ironman again, but also get himself the victory. Now, he's just half a lap away from doing so. There you see Stefan Muschler. He is working himself down towards, let's figure out where he is. He's working himself down and towards turn number 1 and 2. So he has 3/4 of a lap to go. Anders Dahl, well, there he is. He's working himself up in towards Bitch Corner for the final time. But we'll go back and have a look then at Dave Geelink. It has been an incredible race for him. He hasn't really put a foot wrong. There was a race at the beginning. He held tight. Inex Racing now just about 10 corners away from securing victory. He's had a couple of close calls in the last hour and a half, but he's come through okay. now into the roller coaster for the final time in this event. That little flip to the right hand side, then to the left hand side, then it will roll it downhill in towards Hogpen for the final time in this event. And after 3 hours of racing, GC Traffic just getting out of his way, Dave Geeling for INX Racing exits the Hogpen for the final time, and Dave Geeling will be your C1 and overall winner. INX Racing back to victory lane. He is a winner, one better than what he did last year. Anders Dahl now has just got himself a couple of corners to go to become the only 3-time winner in the TARGA Virginia. He moves himself ahead of Jesper Pedersen in the all-time wins list. Anders Dahl is victorious at TARGA once again. And now finally, we wait for Stefan Muschler. He heads himself through into the spiral for the final time. We go on board with him as he now just has himself the S's to do. A couple of corners to go. He's got himself a huge advantage. Mike Van Heusen tried to play strategy. It just didn't work for him. And Stefan Muschler, he had one spin earlier on down at turn 1, but he was able to recover. He was able to get himself back into the groove, and now he comes into the roller coaster for the final time. And it will be a case of Stefan Muschler then claiming your C2 victory. We'll go on board with him for the last couple of corners. He now works himself into the roller coaster, and he begins that descent in towards Hog Pen Corner. And he will join Dave Geeling, and he will join Anders Dahl and all of the other winners as a champion in TARGA Virginia. Stefan Muschler in C2 will win out in that division. Where's our 3 winners, ladies and gentlemen? We have ourselves Dave Geeling, Stefan Muschler, and also Anders Dahl. And well, these guys will now forever be known as a TARGA Virginia winner. Don't forget, the people that survived the TARGA Virginia, they are all of the people out on the racetrack. We thought we were going to see Goen Keeney come out for the final lap. He didn't. He's still on pit road. The guys are all slowing it down now. Time to get themselves the photo opportunity. Congratulate the winner. Dave Geeling's had enough. He wants to get the champagne ready. But they can see Stefan Muschler. He's crawled to a complete halt. He's looking for Anders Dahl if possible. There is Dahl. We're getting ourselves victory formation now, Jake.
Yes, a very good result there for these drivers, and it was well deserved from these 3. They all proved that they were the most consistent drivers out there at the end of the day, and they were the fastest in their categories, and they did what they had to do today to get the win and to really cement themselves into folklore here in the TARGA Virginia. And many names for time to come will be looking up to these drivers and hoping that they will one day be as quick as them.
Tell you one thing, we had a couple of people out of fuel on the warm down lap, and we talked about that 1 lap extra. For some people it was a little bit too much. We knew that one. Daniel Buck, for example, he had to do a splash and dash at the end. Stefan Muschler ran out of fuel towards the end of well, actually about halfway through his cool down lap, so he isn't able to bring that car home. We're having a look at a couple of people just trying to do that right now. But Geeling wins. They can see Sylvian Pomerade. Is he out of fuel as well? No, he's just going nice and cruising. He's going to bring that car back to pit road. Mark Hewitt, what a well-deserved podium for him. He finishes in P3 in the C1 class and gives us a message. You want to get yourself a podium at TARGA? You have to do it by doing it on the racetrack, keeping it clean and not being too aggressive. Then you can see Excelsior. He will come home P number 4 in your GT2 division, your C2 division even. And then you can see the likes of Simon Trendell. He's coaching that car home right now. He will finish a little bit disappointing for him down in P number 4 in class. Manuel Sanchez was not able to get back at the end in the Hawker car, so Simon Trendell will win out on that one. Let's get yourself then a look at your final race results here from TARGA Virginia. Well, Dave Geeling then was able to secure victory by just over a minute in your C1 class from Sylvian Pomerade. So INX went out from Radicals Online. Mark Hewitt, well deserved, 3rd place. Everyone behind had issues. Martin Ensman down 9 laps was able to get himself past Kimi Asinyemi, who had himself 2 incidents, put himself out of the event. Anderson Motta also retired, as did Darrell Taylor and PJ Sturgis. An 8-car field, only 3 people really finished within touching distance of your race leader. We head it on back, and you see in C2, you've got yourself Stefan Muschler claiming victory by about 50 seconds over Mike Van Heusen. Jason Gerard in 3rd, Mikel de Jong in 4th. Then P5, John Steitzel. P6, Matt Chinoski, Lucas Drudzki, Raymond Alcard, Dylan Francis, and Chedrick Finzak round out your top 10. We go back a little bit further. Then you can see in your C3 division, Anders Dahl will claim victory. He becomes a 3-time winner here at this race. Then Evan Mallard in 2nd, Karol Petrovsky in 3rd, Trendell, Sanchez, Wilson, Buck, Lawson, Herbia, and Tanaka round out your top 10. And there is a look at the remainder of your C3 field. A number of drivers also with difficulties here today. We're going to step aside for a moment, interviews and more after these messages. You're watching the 5th annual TARGA Virginia live on RaceSpotTV.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track. The unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval. And that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The Grand Prix course can be run by itself. And they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports. This was one of the more challenging projects that we've undertaken. It was essentially building two tracks in one. It took a lot of time and a lot of care was put into it, but we're really happy about the end result, and we think that people have a lot of fun driving it.
Dave Geelink wins in C1 here today. Devon Mushlar wins in C2, and Anders Dahl wins in C3. And they join a list of names as Targa Virginia champions. They include Jesper Pedersen, William Levesque, also Rupert Tequila, Rico Elatalo, Dylan Sharman, also Matthew Levy, Billy Smith, and Rory King. And they will go down in history as TARGA winners. In one case, the case of Arne Stahl, he becomes the first 3-time winner of this prestigious event. He's done it twice in C3, once in C2. The question, of course, to him, we're going to put to him first, is are you going to get into the C1 car and have a go?
Never, I think, if it's theoretical.
Well, you claim victory here, so it was very close. The first hour and a half. Of course, it was slightly sullied in the end by the fact that Wojciechowski was involved in an incident. But it was very close, of course. You were second for the first stint, then were able to get yourself home to first on pit road. We don't know what would have happened if you had actually pitted together for your final start, but Wojciechowski really did give you a good battle here today.
Yeah, not only Karel, also the other guys. So I'm really, it was like a stone dropping from my heart when he screwed up or what happened. So I'm very happy.
Well, we have, of course, we saw Evan Melia try and dig into that lead in the final stint. He finished about 7-8 seconds behind you. But just how tough is it running at Targa? Because it's an event that you normally would do once a year. Most people don't even do a lap at Virginia outside of this event. So how hard is it to get yourself back into the rhythm on this Grand West course?
It's very difficult. It's yeah, you have to be focused all the time. I had some moments which could have ended the race, but I guess I was lucky or something, because it didn't.
How's traffic?
I guess it was okay. No scary moments. Yeah.
And of course, we're going to see you next week again in endurance racing competition. How different will Neo be to this event?
Oh, that's very different. That's different car, different track, different setting, longer, and yeah, very different.
Arne Stahl wins out in your C3 division here today. Before we let you go, chance to give a shout out to yourself and, of course, your Virgil Racing teammates.
Yeah, for sure.
That's your point to talk if you'd like. Anyone you'd like to thank?
Okay. Yeah, the team is always supportive, even though I did most of the setup work myself. But it's always good to have someone to discuss the thing with and help you out in traffic sometimes.
Ladies and gentlemen, Arne Stahl coming home with your victory in C1, the first 3-time winner. Got ourselves the opportunity to talk to Mikkel de Jong as well. And, well, Mikkel, what happened?
I made a mistake, basically.
Talk us through the incident from your perspective, because it was close between yourself and Karel Wojciechowski, of course. You would have ended up with the penalty. But just explain your thought process going to the corner. Was it just a case of thinking there was a gap when there wasn't?
Pretty much. I mean, there was a whole lot that happened before that I won't mention now, but I was just a bit too frustrated and tried to put the car where it didn't belong, so that was my fault.
Now talk us through the rest of your race, because you had been involved in battles before. Of course, you were having to move yourself back up through the field afterwards. But talk us through the rest of your event.
Oh, the first 1.5 hours was pretty great. I had a great battle with Jason in front of me. We traded laps, the gap closed up and then got bigger a bit again, and it was really fun trying to keep up with him.
Well, of course, you finished well in Su2, all things considered. Anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Thanks to Thrustmaster for sponsoring me this race.
There we are. Mikkel de Jong, short and sweet there. We've got Jacob Desmares here as well. Jacob, it's Iron Man time.
Yeah, so this year, I believe we had a tie. So the requirements are you have to finish at least 75% of the race that the leader does to prevent somebody from retiring on lap 1. And both Jason Girard in the Ford GT and Jamie Wilson in the Roof both had 2 incidents over the entire race, which is great. So I guess they split the honors this year.
Well, there are 2 incident points between the two of them, of course, because they are both in the same, they're in different classes. It's difficult to judge between them. But overall, it's been a fantastic race. Out of interest, how far away was Dave from the Ironman this year?
I'd have to look back at the results, but I believe he had like 5 or so incidents, so not too bad.
Pretty good, yeah. And that wraps up another year of Targa. Before we let you go, Jacob, time for you to give a shout out to people.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody that signed up and participated this year. And next year, December 18th, we'll be back doing it again.
There we are, December 18th. You never know, it may well be here on RaceSpotTV. And that is all we have time for Thank you very much to everyone who's been a part of our coverage here today. Thank you very much to those who kept us entertained on YouTube. Also on Twitter, thanks to my commentary partner, Jacob. And also to Jacob, Race Control, Jacob Desmares. We'll talk to you all in a week. It's going to be a very busy week here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. Thank you and good night.